Under my fur, Ella's, 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 A, boo doot. Alt white. How we doing, fellas? How's your hammer hanging? Boy, oh boy. This is gonna be fun, you know? I've had some thoughts for a while. It's nice to be able to talk about them. You're going to hear really the reason why I focus on saying you're right wing, being right wing. I right wing in the most broad sense possible, which is acknowledging that racism and anti-Semitism don't exist. They are not valid terms, and their only function to white people. That is their definition because that is their usage in society. Okay? Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You might think, Artie, what if I'm not white though? That's fine. I'm a civ nav, dog. Just gotta realize where does stuff come from, man? Come on. Hook us up a little bit. Put some respect in our name is all I'm saying. It is Race Realism Awareness Month. It's going to be a very white Christmas. And white people are the most inclusive. So what are you afraid of, okay? Just trying to get back to our roots over here. And we have Adam and Sitch. Now, if you're not familiar with Adam and Sitch, a few years ago, I used to listen to them all the time. Because they were the sane liberals. The sane, you know, we're like on the left, but like the good left. Doesn't exist. Tried it. Doesn't exist. Sitch is a moo. Adam is not. Adam will be doing the role of the Gentile, the goy. Sitch, the moo conducting the feelings of what Nick Fuentes has said. Before we get into it, we're going to read some comments from their video first. But before we get into that, fellas, I'm kind of feeling pretty good. Eddie Bravo subscribed to the channel. If you don't know who Eddie Bravo is, good friend of Joe Rogan. One of the most prestigious practitioners of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in history. He beat a cheating Gracie. That's all you have to know. That's cool. That's fun. I like having fun. That's a good thing. It's fun to acknowledge good things. Let's look at some comments on their video. Before we get into it, I'll spit on it first before I shove it in. I can't imagine a more ineffective strategy for convincing people a group doesn't run everything than outlawing with legitimate threat of prison anyone who speculates about whether or not they run everything. Isn't that odd, fellas? Fair enough, right? To me, that's the most frustrating thing. Let people make asses out of themselves, or tell the truth, in the court of public opinion, and everyone will become more versed in their better rebuttals and won't have a leg to stand on instead of the easiest win imaginable. Well, just epistemologically, wouldn't you think they're hiding the truth if they have to do that across the West? Do you believe the conspiracy? You guys have zero clue on what you're talking about. This isn't a conspiracy of organized moos around the world. This is a fact. They say it. It's in their religion, built in. It's in the evidence of everything, of every person that has looked. Literally just research it. How can you even phrase this as a conspiracy when it's a fact? This is why people are tired of hearing your viewpoint. Very true. And Adam and Sitch, I'm just letting you know. I want you guys to make money. I want you to be successful, okay? I don't want you to hemorrhage people over to me. I'll be fine. I'm worried about you guys. The pearl clutching doesn't work anymore. Someone else said, he literally did the 6-7 meme about the Holocaust numbers, but Piers was too boomer and emotional to notice. Sitch and Adam missed it as well. Nick was trolling Piers, it was funny. Too soon. They didn't have any fun with this. They had to listen to Nick Fuentes while having no fun. That's a tough way to listen to him. I know we don't like Nick, but Sitch not understanding the whole women great fantasies is frustrating. We know what Nick means when he is saying that. Sitch is being too autistic and taking it too literally. Oh, fellas. Goy, oh goy, is Sitch going to be taking things really literally. He is not going to have any sense of emotional awareness. Sitch watching something else. Screen is on, but no one is home. No, Sitch, if you want Nick Fuentes to lose, we as a nation... Oh my god, yeah, this guy was mad. We as a nation need people who are actually going to solve multi-decade problems. I'm just going to assume that guy knows what he's talking about. Probably got some pearls in there. You can say Nick is cruel for laughing at this guy, but come on. Even Adam had to pause this cringe. This guy is every stereotype that Nick talks about rolled into one. Yeah, it sucks his grandparents died or whatever. But this is the most obnoxious, guilt-tripping, arrogant attempt at shaming Nick. And then the guy is selling his books, making his shekels off of his grandparents, who he'll probably say rode the roller coasters and masturbation machines. I should read all of these before reading them out loud. And was experimented on by Goebbels, who apparently experimented on every single one of them. Like, bro, come on. This interview was pathetic. Nick should be easy to beat, but Piers got emotional about his sacred cow topics, diversity, women, etc., and responded in a childish manner. Nick came out looking better due to Piers. Oh yeah, it should be so easy to beat Nick, but nobody can. You want to beat Nick? Have a woman. Try having a woman up there. Have we tried that yet? I mean, Nick clearly won this debate. Piers came off as childish, and Nick was unapologetically himself. None of this was really about anything substantive. Piers pretty much just waved his finger at Nick the entire time. Someone said you can't grandstand against a groiper. They relish in either dragging you down to their level, so they're above the groipers, down to their level, or you collapsing under your own weight. Nick getting more mainstream coverage where he gets to hide his power level and look good. This response is incredible. What part about Hitler is cool is hiding anything? Is there some sort of mega super Hitler we don't know about? Right. He's hiding things. Always hiding. The people that are hiding things are always so suspicious about other people hiding things and mind reading. Oh, lordy lord. Let me give you a little preview of what you're going to hear. Now, Sitch really likes to sound smart. And to do that, he likes to call people, things, concepts dumb and stupid so he and his audience feel smart. He abuses this tactic.
Yeah, he'll neutralize it to people who are dumb and are not paying attention. He does immediately say afterwards, well, he's not talking about whatever this dumb organization is. So when he pretends to be stupid on X, Crowder's interview with Fuentes, he asks the really stupid, but I'm going to analyze it and say why it's a stupid fucking point. It's a stupid point because, listen, the Jew, this is like so stupid. Not only is it morally wrong, but it's also just fucking stupid and it's not going to actually help you in any way whatsoever. So it's both morally wrong and also just pragmatically stupid. And it's like, how fucking stupid are you? How stupid do you have to be on a level? And that's the great irony. And that's the great stupidity without kind of doing the stupid, like in such a stupid and racist way. It's also what's so kind of stupid. Like a lot of people, because people like the super chatter are so fucking stupid.
So that makes him feel smart. It's often in place of an argument. Double Momo for $5. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Enjoying you stream more. I'll help make it 7 days a week. Bring back Fist. No. No, I'm getting rid of Fist, okay? I want all the money, okay? I'm very selfish. I'm getting rid of him completely. I don't need him anymore, okay? I was just using him for his streaming prowess. Of course I'm kidding. Those are on Fridays. And there's a huge time zone difference. And believe it or not, fellas, we exist as people when we're not online. And other things happen in our lives. I am prioritizing this and riding this wave as long as I can before my inevitable demise happens. Appreciated, though. Carl Crump, $2, thank you. Me mom died in the holy. Buy me book. Yeah, I'll get a little bit of that. Carl Crump, $2, thank you. The best thing boomers can do is get out of the way. And that is just becoming more and more true by the day. Okay, well, it'll be nice to just sit here and chew into this, so I got some timestamps. Let's get into it. So, fellas, this is why you have to be right-wing. I know you can be anti-communist. Communist is 3,000 years of communism. Communism didn't just pop out of thin air. It's predicated on values, thoughts, thinkers of the moos. That's where it comes from. And so you can't just stop at leftists bad, the woke, right? Like, you know, someone who pushed gender theory, Judith Butler, reformed moo, specifically says her thoughts on gender theory come from her reformed moodism. So it's very tied in. Sitch being a moo will not want to acknowledge this. We'll cover that in a little bit. Slackademics Legend, $5. Thank you very much. Oi, you're going to do this to me, huh? Oi, I got a paternity test, right? And the father is Hitler. Still think is really fucking cool, do yous? You's having a bloody giggle, are yous? Very nice. Thank you for torturing me with that. Feel free to continue trying to torture me with those things. I am well versed in speaking like an idiot. And by an idiot, I mean British. Okay. Let's start dipping our toe.
Seems like a smart guy. I think Crowder is smart. So when he pretends to be stupid on X, that makes me think he's just lying. Because he knows that Nick Fuentes' entire game is identity politics. His entire persona, his entire political philosophy is white people, or white Christians specifically, because Jews need not apply, that white Christians need to unify around identity politics and use identity politics against non-whites and against...
Now, of course, he's using identity politics as anyone collectivizing for any reason at all whatsoever. He is the supreme classical liberal individualist. Now, I'm a hyper-individualist myself, but I understand, and this is like a liberal principle, I prefer certain things, and I'm very tolerant of how other people want to live their lives. And I mean, the right to collectivize, let's actually just get this out of the way now. So, like, do classical liberals support groups collectivizing? Classical liberals do not oppose groups collectivizing in principle. They strongly support it, provided the collectivization is voluntary and based on individual consent. We got some thinkers over here. Bottom line, classical liberals are among the strongest defenders of the right to collectivize, communize, and live in deliberately non-individualistic ways. Far more supportive than most modern progressives or conservatives who often want to ban collectives depending on their ideology, which is what Sitch is doing. So he's not a classic liberal. He's acting like he's a classic liberal, but he's doing the progressive liberal ideology where, well, it's a little scary when some... Well, no. They're collected like... It's freedom of association. So yes, classical liberals support groups collectivizing, sometimes more radically than many self-described socialists do today. Now, two things. If you are a classic liberal, first of all, you support freedom of association and people collectivizing for their own interests, especially if you have opened the doors, which liberals have done, which I've never agreed with, to a when I was a liberal, I wasn't thinking about it, to a multicultural society. Groups, and this is where race realism comes into play, groups will advocate for themselves, and as we've seen, groups have been advocating for themselves, except whites are not allowed to, which means they are definitionally marginalized in that capacity. That's first of all. Second of all, as a classical liberal, you need to be focused on white Christians collectivizing for themselves and the country, because liberalism came from Christianity. Now, did it come from Protestants? Yes, mainly. However, me, an atheist liberal, understands liberalism came from Christianity. So, as an atheist liberal, I don't bend the knee to Christ because I'm an atheist. Sorry, can't make me believe, but you're Christian, so you're tolerant. And you're tolerant of people like me that say, hey, you built society, modern society as it is. I concede there. I bend the knee to, I guess, Christians I trust, right? Obviously, not all Christians. All Christians, have differing views. There's different denominations and whatnot. In the aggregate, in general, I bend the knee to Christians with what they want to say, Christianity is your thing, man. Okay, my liberalism is very much free speech. My liberalism serves as in case Christianity gets out of control. Now, are we in a threat? Are we in danger of Christianity getting out of control? No. So I don't give a fuck. Okay? If it starts to become a problem, I'll let you know. All right? But it's not. And you have to also advocate for white people collectivizing because it's a human right. It's a human rights issue, Christian whites collectivizing. They should be allowed to in a liberal society, but these liberals don't really seem to advocate for them. So that's my position on that. The true liberal position, the Christian pick-me, I suppose I am. Quizzit's Chatterack gifted 5 rhetorically defective memberships. Fellas! For those 5 people that received those memberships, boy oh boy, 2 streams, 10 hours, classics. Absolute classics. Very organic. They just kind of happened. Highly recommend those. Best bang for your buck in the business. Let's go.
Against Jews. That's the basis. That's the soul of his entire movement. So then Crowder's like, oh, well, he rejects identity politics. Like, no, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, how that makes absolutely no sense at all.
And it's even strange. Well, it's even stranger too, because I went back. We saw the beginning.
Even from my perspective, like identity politics is dignity politics, and his beef is that the white race has been not treated with the kind of respect it deserves.
Right.
Yeah, so that's identity politics.
Of course.
So that's identity politics. Does this ever apply to the Moose? The answer is no. That's a double standard. This is what Nick Fuentes brings to light, and Moose and fake liberals, such as these two, have no response to it, and so his reign of terror continues.
And, in the beginning of Crowder's interview with Fuentes, he asked the really stupid, are you racist? Are you anti-Semitic? And then he says, of course not, Crowder. And then they never bring it up ever again.
Like the conversation. Challenge him at all. Yeah, exactly.
No, right. He's just like, oh, okay, well, that's good. But he does challenge him in the second half of the interview a lot about the fact that
the endless kvetching about the responsible platforming of Nick Fuentes is 2015, 2016 all over again. We're still liberals, so we believe in free speech, but you have to do it the right way. What's the right way that no one seems to be able to do it? So Tucker didn't really push back on him. Crowder pushed back on him a little bit, but Crowder, that was a home game. They're trying to, that's a friend conversation. Those are political friends when he's talking to Crowder. So he's going to talk to Crowder a certain way. Piers a fucking enemy, so he's going to talk to Piers a different way, especially when Piers is being supremely disingenuous and bad faith to him. So, Sitch, you don't talk to everyone the same way. It depends on who you're talking to. I believe children understand this, how you talk to your friends a certain way and talk to your parents a different way. Seems easy enough to understand.
Fuentes is anti-Trump. And when I saw the whole interview, my feeling on it was, okay, I'll be charitable to Crowder. Maybe he's coming at it from the perspective of he doesn't think it's persuasive to say to people on the internet right, to say, hey, racism is bad, sexism is bad, anti-Semitism is bad. And, he doesn't think that that would be an effective tact against Fuentes. So instead, he thinks it'd be more effective to attack the fact that Fuentes is very anti-Trump and is doing a lot of damage to the Trump brand. I don't agree with that.
This is a really good comment. If you can platform Vosh, you can platform Nick. Exactly. Communism, leftists, way bigger problem. Institutional power, causing no violence at all whatsoever. Not a dangerous gang. No power. Great comment.
Philosophy. If you don't gatekeep, you basically get what's happening with Candace Owens, where you just have people will keep pushing it further and further and more insane until it's out of control. So you do have to gatekeep. You do have to stand for something. But I was being charitable to Crowder, and I thought that's what he was doing. But then when he randomly, for no reason, starts attacking Piers Morgan for this conversation, lying about identity politics, saying that it's gotchas to play clips of Nick Fuentes, and talk to him about the fact that he has kind of the dual persona that Coleman Hughes talks about, where on his own show, he's like hyper incendiary. Then when he goes on the podcast circuit, he's, oh, listen, I'm very moderate. Those aren't gotcha questions. That's like, okay, what are you doing? Who is the real person? Why are you pretending to be someone different in public? And for Crowder to sit there and be like, well, that's just...
Now, Sitch understands streamers, right? Like, there's a level of duplicity going on, because, as I was just saying, talking to different people, gonna talk differently. Do you think if I talked to, like, Benjamin Boyce, or if I had, like, an interview with someone, I would be speaking the same way that I speak now? No, obviously not.
So gotcha. That makes me think, okay, well, Crowder actually agrees with Fuentes on all the identity politics shit. He actually does agree with all that stuff. He just doesn't want to be as upfront with it as Fuentes is, because I don't understand why else he would defend Fuentes in this way on X.
Crowder thinks Hitler is super based.
Or at least he's on board with the white identity politics aspect.
Right.
You see, there it is. He kind of thinks he's based. He kind of thinks Hitler is based. This is a witch hunt. You can't prove that you're not racist. You can't prove that you don't. It's a witch hunt. And then if you don't, cry like in North Korea for the dear leader enough, then you're not a believer. Which is the criticism of your people, Sitch.
Right, okay.
Because why else would he
the
defend
grievance
Fuentes?
politics?
Yes, 100%.
I'm not sure. I mean, I brought up the same thing you're...
Grievance politics, if you have a grievance, it has to be handled politically for the most part. And if it's not being handled politically, then as a liberal, you support their right to collectivize, like, I don't know, NGOs? We're all the white NGOs. Yeah, rough out here.
Bringing up now with Crowder, with Tucker Carlson, when we talked about him, whether or not you could try to be persuasive and win those people over. I don't know. I mean, we're in a strange territory here, because I think a lot of people could react to this interview just thinking Nick Fuentes is great. Nick Fuentes is amazing. And
right.
We're really at a crossroads here, where I really don't know what the public reaction would be to this. My reaction obviously is like horrified, which I...
Uh-oh, Adam, is it gonna be a nutter? Uh-oh, fellas, it was 80 years ago, but it's also just yesterday. Is it gonna be a nutter? And white people cannot... So we have to focus more on the hypothetical grievance of Moose from 80 years ago, more than what white people are going through now, especially in the past 10 years. TK, $2, thank you. Be fair, there's a decent amount of Mormon NGOs. There are, and I'm transparent as a motherfucker. I've obviously done a biased search on NGOs. There are thousands of, but it's not explicitly white, right? And then this is the issue we come into with the Moos. It's an ethnicity, it's a religion. You can be atheist and be a Moo. I'm not kidding, I've shown it. A Moo can be anything, just like gender. What is it? It's whatever you want it to be. Bloody Cupcake 54, $5. Thank you so much. Does anyone remember when SNA and Sargon told the alt-right they should act like SJWs to get their way? Not necessarily, but I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, was that like, when Sargon was more liberal? That's the thing, guys. Liberal is a stepping stone to something else. You can't stop at liberalism. It's been co-opted by the left, and I'm co-opting it for the right. It's just meant to be co-opted. It's just a defensive measure. You can't govern it. It's a series of negative rights. It's defensive. And so, to me, it's a trifecta. I call it the light triad. You have liberalism as a defense for the individual, just in case we get swept up by, any collectivist ideology that tramples on the individual rights of private property and freedom of speech. We have capitalism, which is the economic mode. What we have now with usury isn't capitalism, okay? Capitalism can be very ethical, okay? So liberalism is not meant to be in totality. Neither is capitalism. You can have ethical capitalism. All it is, it's not an ideology. It's just a mode of exchanging goods and services. Christianity is the muscle. Christianity is the ought in society of how we move forward and how we handle things. In my mind, that's how it works. That's my liberalism.
I was raised on movies like Schindler's List, which they actually make fun of in this. So
Right.
I at a gut level perceive of the Holocaust as just one of the worst periods in American history and in human history. So
Yeah, not really American history, but yeah.
well, look,
Adam says one of the worst moments in American history. And Sitch, being the moo, has to go, that's not American history. But isn't that crazy? How Adam, the good guy, calls it American history? Well, I mean, it's world history. It's everyone's history. It's part of the complaint that we have.
we turned a blind eye to it. What are you
That's
talking
true.
about?
I guess that's true. We did turn away.
Swindler's
Jewish
wish!
immigrants who turned us away.
And not only that, I mean, we just were like, let them do whatever, right? I mean, we were,
Right.
who knows how much we actually knew what was going on, right?
Well, I thought my understanding is that they didn't really. Most people didn't know
Right. Okay.
what like the extent of what exactly was going on until afterwards.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, anyway, just, obviously it's just, I
gotta sound
there are a lot
sad.
of people now that haven't grown up with that kind of understanding of the situation or the narrative. And
Yeah, you see? You haven't grown up with the situation and the understanding of the Smolocaust. Isn't that incredible? Education. Just like the left with racism. It's not the same story over and over again. It's a perpetual struggle session. You just have to learn over and over again. Suck duck, $2, thank you very much. Gabe Newell capitalism. I'm sure that makes sense, but I'm an idiot and don't know what that means. That's a me problem, not a you problem.
just his bold face, just not willing to take that narrative seriously. And I think there's a lot of it woke me up to, there's a lot of people who don't take that narrative seriously and think, oh yeah.
Is that a grievance you
Well,
have?
it's weird because I don't know if they think it will never happen. That possibility is remote if it could happen at all, or they think
We have to think of whether or not another is going to happen again. That's what we got to get in our feels right now, okay? These are logical centrists over here. Getting into their feels, spookifying if it's going to happen again. As leftists are in positions of political power by the likes of which we've never seen, colluding with each other behind the scenes, enacting violence on the streets, passing money through multiple NGOs in order to do that. But what if another happens? Fuck off. You guys are on the way out. Sorry, guys. And hey, you can turn this around, okay? You can have a change of heart and turn this around whenever you guys want. Hey, I'm influenced by Christians. There's always redemption, fellas. Is there always redemption, fellas? Do we want anything bad to happen to the people we disagree with? Absolutely not. There is redemption. And redemption isn't agreeing with me. Redemption is engaging with the criticism in a good faith way.
this needs to happen,
right.
which is even scarier, right? I mean, geez.
Right.
We're going to do
Well,
a
then they
Holocaust
always-
2.0.
Right, and then and I want to play that part too because there's so much dishonesty from the way that Nick has these conversations where he'll say that he likes Jews, he respects them, but that, and then he even agrees with the Holocaust numbers in one breath, but then the other breath, like, well, there's all these questions about it. It's not true. Nobody cares about it. Hitler was cool. And it's like, okay, well, you can't. Those are two contradictory opinions. And everyone knows that, and yet there's like this weird thing. We'll just say them, and I.
It's like you're missing something, Sitch. He's always looking for a contradiction. Huh. Was it Marx? Was it the classical moo Marx? Always looking for the contradiction in everything. Always deconstructing. And Sitch is like, I can't synthesize this. I don't know what it is. There's an obvious contradiction, but no one cares. Well, we'll cover that, Sitch.
I guess his audience is, they don't care at this point. Everyone knows, I think most of his audience knows what he's about. They don't care. They just want to see him seize more fame and political power. So they're totally fine with him being hyper dishonest in these public settings.
Yeah, no, I did not believe his Holocaust revisionism, I guess, because it's like everyone commonly thinks of Nick Fuentes as a Holocaust denier. He came out openly and said, yeah, 6 million Jews, if not more.
Just to remind everybody, denying doesn't mean denying. Think of it this way. The way that they're saying, which is very mooish, Holocaust denial, is dismissing, so downplaying, or arguing the facts of the event, okay? Which means, in any other situation, if you got into a car accident, you would be a car accident denier if you were dismissing or downplaying the perceived accepted facts of the car accident. Yeah. You would be accused of denying the entire accident if you didn't agree with all of it in totality. And this can get you put in jail if you deny the car accident. By the way, downplaying means denying. Very duplicitous.
Or I thought his audience is probably listening to that going, he doesn't believe that. He's just lying to Piers because of the social environment, which they even talked a little bit about the social.
Oh, yeah. Nick Fuentes should have been so good faith and on his best behavior talking to Piers Morgan.
Environment. Yeah. So, which, you know, it is what it is. I just, I thought Piers, I think, did really good in the very beginning, although the family stuff, it's hard to gauge how people will take that. They could take it as a low blow, and it was so early on that it could have poisoned the audience against Piers. And then Piers.
All right, you're boring me. I got some timestamps. Let me try to remember what I was thinking with these timestamps that got me so incensed. Also, fellas, we're hitting good numbies. Can we try and get those likes to half? Not all. Not all. But increase the likes, you know, if you're enjoying the stream. Just to like it. Maybe share it since I'm banned on X for a week. You know, the little things like that.
Of the Holocaust. And he just came out and said, oh, yeah, it's totally 6 million. That's the place where I think, okay, well, he's looking straight at Piers Morgan.
Mind you, this is 25 minutes later. It sounds identical.
But I'm not telling the truth. This, whether or not women want to be raped or not, it's hard for me to imagine that he believes like the misogynist incel perspective. Maybe he does.
Can you believe calling someone misogynist right now, going into 2026? It's this idea of racism and misogyny and anti-Semitism exist, but the left cried wolf and overused those terms. And so now we're really trying to, they're just weapons, you idiot. You useful idiots. You don't have to be intentionally controlled opposition to politically function as controlled opposition.
It does. Maybe you're exactly correct. Okay. And he's lying here as well, but.
Okay. I don't know why you'd find that hard to believe, considering everything else he said, but.
Well, because he seems very rational. He seems very, you think?
You don't think it's, okay. You have a person who thinks from this rational perspective that most black people should be put in jail, that Jews are behind everything bad in the world, that Hitler is cool, and that women shouldn't be able to vote.
Sitch isn't a leftist, by the way. He just sounds exactly like one. The difference between Sitch and a leftist is that Sitch is a capitalist. He doesn't support mass migration, and he doesn't think that kids should do gender transition, okay? Wow. Brave positions. Wow. Aside from that, he functions just like a leftist rhetorically. He went down the list of all the bad things Nick has said, and that's the only way you can think about it, because there might be another.
To me, it's not a big step then to leap to say, well, that he also thinks most women actually do enjoy would enjoy the concept of being subjugated. I don't
Okay.
see why that's a big jump.
Okay. Where are we going next?
Ever had a relationship with one or had sex and actually had a proper relationship.
Adam is so checked out when Sitch talks. Sitch will be done talking. What are you doing? Sitch is a midwit because he thinks he knows so much. Adam is still kind of a midwit, but also like very like stoner, out of it, doesn't know what's going on. Really takes the wind out of the sails of an entertaining stream, in my humble opinion.
I mean, people say the reason you're so angry about women is you're basically an incel.
Well, I'm not angry about it.
You sound very angry. You sound very, very angry about women.
Gaslighting.
They get
I'm passionate. It's an issue
You're
I'm
not passionate.
passionate about.
You're sounding very bitter about women, as if women have done a terrible disservice to you. But
The irony of someone sounding like this. You sound so bitter about women. As the guy sounds bitter.
when you don't have relationships, you don't have sex, when are they doing these terrible things to you that's made you so hateful towards women? I'm really curious.
Was that? I don't think that was a hateful clip. I think I was laughing. I said they want men to beat the shit out of them. And that's just true. I mean, when you look at the state of modern women, all they do is lay in their bed, doom scroll. They're chilling out. They're getting a little fat. It is what it is. I don't know what the average weight.
But he said again, that's just true. Right? He said that's just true. That's not a fantasy. That's just true. That's just what they want.
No, see, is true. Okay? Now, a portion of the. Okay, like. If you fantasize about something happening, there's this weird. And I have gotten. How much detail do I want to go into? I'll give you this. In 2015, I was in a polyamorous relationship with a Dominican woman that was experimenting with being a socialist. Me, vanilla straight white guy. That's how autistic I am. And boy, oh boy, the weird degenerate shit that they want to do sexually, and they're like, oh, well, no, it's different when it's sexual. Nah. Don't agree. Never agreed. Had to hold in that opinion for years. That's the degen shit I've been around. Suck duck, $5. Thank you, mate. Very much appreciated. People are why we might have a civil war. Not because they're bad, but because when left alone, their decisions will end us. Yeah, exactly. 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 They're useless. They don't serve a function. Their only function is to stop you from taking any sort of action, or even thinking ideas, or even joking. So exactly. And that's where the frustration with them comes from.
Mm-hmm.
It is, but they're getting a little heavy. And any guy that is playing the field these days will tell you that. I mean, and I know a lot of the Chads. I am an incel. I'm friends with a lot of Chads like Bradley Martin, Clavicular. They agree with me. You know, there's sort of like this alliance between the guys that don't have sex and the guys that get the men are about. It's the guys in the middle. Guys like
they never see this coming too. They don't know like how many people Nick Fuentes has access to. And so he creates the IQ meme that the lowest IQ people and the highest IQ people agree. And then it's the midwits in the middle. That was a pretty clever way of doing that. The unconsidered, $2, thank you. Sitch's poor relatives made into lampshade and soap. Might be a nutter. You don't know. Hey, we never know. You know, people murdered in the BLM riots. But hold on, we never know. Children transitioning, being cast aside when they detransition. Hey, but we never know. A nutter.
like you in the middle. It's the beta male orbiters that say, she's amazing, you're a misogynistic pig, because I don't know what that is. I guess
Well, come on, let me
desperate.
explain to you what I think it is.
This is an interesting observation that he points out here, that there seems to be this sort of alliance or this connection between the people that aren't having sex and then the people that are having the most sex, the people who are basically, you know, just going through women, abusing women, or at least saying that they are, whether they actually are or not. And it's very much a scorpion and a frog situation that people
Can we agree that Sitch is pearl clutching right now? Keep this in mind. I would think that definitionally, Sitch is pearl clutching. Keep that in mind. Vasker, $10. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Nick should come back on Piers' show and say, I paid a woman to screw and my opinion hasn't changed. What now, Piers? Yeah. Like, my opinion of women and what I had to do to court them and knowing what they wanted done to them doesn't get better. Here's the thing. I have a horrific opinion of women on one hand. On the other hand, I can snap right back into feminist liberal and also talk to women about how it sucks, especially women that like get along with men, they can't have any friends. Like there's women that don't get along with women because women are so fucking crazy, but then they can't have friends because men just want to fuck them. Like that does suck. And especially if you're a hot woman who just wants to chill and hang out, you can't. It's very alienating. So I can snap into it, but for the most part, I really do not enjoy women. In the aggregate, I love talking to them. They like talking to me. I'm very good at being just platonic, amicable. My dick died years ago, fellas. I've been abstinent for 9 years. I don't care. Last remembered, sir. Remember for 1 month. Thank you, mate. Piers is like this to Nick because his wife is the town bicycle. Fellas, I'm saving that for Fist on Friday. I'm still saving it. I need to share that with him because he lives in the UK. He has to get a slice of that. I owe it to my boy. My boy! King Solo Wings, $5. Thank you so much. When the left learns new words, they overuse it. Now everything they say loses its power quicker and quicker. Well, the left, the 3,000 years of the left, in case you didn't tell, decides what words mean. If you call someone a moo, that's a pejorative. If they call themselves a moo, not a pejorative. If they use the term world mooery for themselves, as we're going to see, not a conspiracy. If you use it the same way they use it, consider it a conspiracy. Racism, only a white person can be racist. So they have the authority and power as to what these words mean.
Haven't tapped into yet. And, you know, just in case you don't know, the Scorpion the Frog is the whole concept of the Scorpion asks the frog to take him across the river, and the frog says no, because if I do, you're going to stab me in the back, and I'm going to die because of your venom. And the Scorpion says, of course I won't do that, because then I'll drown. So the frog says, oh, that makes sense. So he tries to take the Scorpion across the river. Boom, Scorpion, of course, stabs him in the back, and they both drown. The frog says, why would you do that? And Scorpion says, it's in my nature to do that. And the whole point of that story, I think this is one of the most important things for people to really remember on a deep level when they interact with people, is that people that show you their nature in terms of how they treat other people, if you know someone who treats other people with dishonesty, who uses and abuses other people, you're a fool if you think that person is not going to do the same to you. And this applies so strong.
Nick Fuentes is duplicitous, and I don't care. What he has had to go through for the last 10 years, hard to judge him. Really hard to judge him. Especially how much he came out on the other side. He can't trust anybody, so I understand that. I don't agree with it necessarily, but it's tough for it to be my place to really like condemn him wholesale.
Strongly to this exact situation that he's talking about here, this observation with, I mean, look at Tate. Andrew Tate, of course, was a perfect example. The guy who sort of makes his whole persona is on like, oh, you know, I just use women, I go through women. And
you see how Sitch can't just address what Nick says? He has to like do the moo thing and compare him to other unsavory people.
I'll teach you how to go through women and blah, 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 blah. This guy made his fortune not just using women. A lot of people in media don't only focus on that part of it because everything's kind of unbalanced in terms of the gender dynamics, and people unfortunately don't really care about men very often. But he was making his money abusing and lying to men.
Right.
He was having women. And he would
what does this have to do with Nick Fuentes?
All these other people would just laugh it up. He would have these women lie to men who were in relationships, who were desperate for relationships. He'd get all these women to lie to them on the internet about, oh, well, I'll go run off with you. I just need you to give me like $5,000, $10,000. I just need a plane ticket. Just give me more of your money and maybe we can be together. The whole thing, the entire process of what Andrew Tate and all these other people are doing is just abusing
and
people.
So Nick
They're using men and
Fuentes
women in different ways, but just abusing people and taking advantage of people.
How is Sitch not just CNN in 2016 always talking about Trump, mind reading him, talking about what he's thinking, invoking unsavory people like Hitler, and then comparing that to Trump? So let's see how he dovetails this into Nick Fuentes.
And so all those people, all these guys that, you know, you point to, oh, these are the alpha chads or whatever, all these people that just abuse women, of course they turn around and then they abuse men as well. They take advantage of men. They use them as
land your plane, Sitch,
off of them and make these big, you know, audiences from incels and all these desperate men off of them exactly the same way that Andrew Tate did.
Sure. Yeah.
I think when a 27-year-old guy
That was
who's
it.
never got laid,
That was it. He just wanted to invoke Andrew Tate and then go back to it. Dude, that's a piece of shit move, dude. Sorry. Sorry if that's an ad hominem attack.
never had a meaningful relationship with a woman, says that women shouldn't be allowed to vote, they should stay at home, that all they do is fantasize about being raped and being beaten up, that's what they want, that they're annoying, that they get fat, that they get ugly. That's a misogynist. Now, you may not understand it because your knowledge of women is so incredibly tiny, but actually you are the embodiment of a misogynist. It couldn't be clearer. And if I was, in a way, you have the deep-rooted misogyny of some of the actual boomers I know. Yet here you are, 27 years old. And most of the current studies show that a lot of men...
What he doesn't understand is misogyny is becoming based again because we live in an overly feminized, estrogenic society. Like, oh my God.
Are really disenfranchised from society, no longer have physical relationships with women if they've ever had them, never associate with women, and build up instinctively misogynist views about women. And I fear you're in that position. You're just a bit of a lonely guy who wants to get laid and can't for whatever reason. And it's made you bitter about women. And I don't know where that's come from, but it's fascinating.
Do you buy this? That he's
not for Fuentes, no. I think it's true for a lot of Fuentes' followers, but I don't think it's even really true for him. I mean,
yeah. So
we,
look,
we both think he's gay. So.
Piers just comes off as clueless here.
Yeah.
Completely.
Phantom Killer, white men are the victims. Unironically, yes. I will chew anyone's ass out just try me on that. Try me on that.
Completely clueless.
Yes.
This line of attack is just, I mean, it's ridiculous. Look, I bet Nick has 20 girls he could call up and
Sure.
for a booty call easily.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So the idea that this internet celebrity can't get laid is just, I mean, Piers,
Yeah.
you're
stupid.
fucking dying here. You're dying.
You agree, though, that this probably applies to his audience, not to Nick, though.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yes, there are a lot of true incels out there, right?
Sitch is so focused on his target being Nick Fuentes, he can't even trash Piers Morgan, like, at all whatsoever. Oh, it's long day at the office for your boy, Sitch.
So, yes, I think that is a challenge for a lot of guys.
No, see, here's the thing. First of all, you're very caught up in the labels. It's always, you're a racist, you're a misogynist.
You said you
these
were a
words mean
racist.
nothing to me. Oh, hang on, whoa, can I respond?
You gave
Hey,
yourself
buddy!
the label.
What is this?
You said,
What's
I am
going
a
on here?
racist. I didn't
No,
give you the label.
okay.
You said, Nick Fuentes, I am a racist.
Calm down.
I love it.
Did you or didn't you?
It's okay.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so
here's
I
the
didn't
thing.
give you the label. You did.
Adam and Sitch are watching this like it's the fucking presidential address to the country.
Why are you yelling at me?
Because you're trying to
you screaming
infer
at me?
something that didn't happen. You said, I gave you the label of being a racist. No.
So he said, you're caught up in these labels. I mean, he's making a completely different argument here. He's not saying, hey, you called me this and I hate you. He's saying, look, these labels are kind of meaningless.
Right.
So this diversion here.
Well, this is the thing that we always warned about, the whole cry wolf situation. This was
There it
part of
is.
the big danger that the left basically cultivated by calling everyone racist and sexist.
No, you've been calling Nick Fuentes a wolf for a decade and trying to make him seem scary. And everyone's like, he's not a wolf. And you're like, no, but we're serious about it this time. And it's like, you've been saying that for 10 years. And in fact, he seems pretty correct on a lot of things that he's saying. And the things that he's talking about, I do this myself. If I am 100% correct on a point, I'll burn the ship to make a joke. I don't give a shit. I'm right. I'll have fun with it. You know, no one's going to pat you on the back but yourself when it comes to a lot of these contentious ideas and opinions. So I understand that completely. Jesus! Oh, here's the sneaky Frenchman for $50, mate. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You increase the frequency of the streams by such behavior. Yeah, he is, and I'm tired of pretending he isn't. covered in the stream yesterday. Direct from the Joker himself. Again, Frenchman. Goddamn, buddy. Maybe we were too hard on the French, you know?
This when people actually weren't, was that they weakened these categories so strongly.
Yeah, that nobody
they're
gives
not-
a fuck.
Yeah, that nobody cares. When conceptually, because the conceptual argument, like, oh, these are just labels or whatever. If you think about it for like a second, you actually kind of detach it from the current situation.
They are just labels. Like when you invoke identity politics, you're not being descriptive. You're just saying any identity, everything. Oh my God, he's so fucking literal.
The argument of like, oh, we shouldn't care about labels. That's a retarded argument, and it's actually the far left want to destroy all society argument, because no one would accept this if there is some Amos Yee character who said the same thing. You have someone like Amos Yee or someone who's advocating to get.
Just a quick bit of lore. Amos Yee was an Asian PDF file from back in the day, and Destiny did do a debate where he was on Amos Yee's side, and they debated him and whatnot, and then a couple of years later he got arrested for CSAM, which is what you're supposed to call CP now. I think it's more descriptive and accurate. Mr. Playlist Man, $5, thank you so much. Did you see their reaction to Andrew Wilson blowing up at the baby daddy comment? They saw the clip and clicked off before his response. Pathetic. No. But that makes me mad. I wish I saw that. Could I just criticize them? Could I just do a segment on them every week and see what they've done? Possibly. I have enough fire.
Get rid of the age of consent and thinks it's totally fine for adults and children to have sexual relations. And you're like, well, you're a fucking pedophile. And they say, whoa. You're so hung up on the label. Like, no one would ever accept that.
Once again, he has to invoke a PDF file just to put some stink on Nick Fuentes' name, right? How is this going to relate to Nick Fuentes?
Because they understand that the label, the thing that's important isn't the label. The thing that's important is the label has a concept behind it. A concept that most people agree is horrible. And it's like, okay, well, if the person actually is the horrible thing that the label confers, well, then that's bad. That's a problem. We shouldn't really support that person.
Yeah, unless the label's been completely eviscerated by culture, which racism pretty much has been.
Right, so don't focus so much on the label. Stop labeling people. That's why I've given myself the labels of atheist, civic nationalist, and liberal. Do you want to know why? Because no one cares about those labels. I'm not letting anyone down if I'm being a bad atheist or a bad liberal or a bad civic nationalist, right? Now, if I was a Christian, I would let down a lot of Christians. I am king of the atheist. I'm a great atheist. I'm a great liberal, great civic nationalist. If I was the conservative Republican, I'm not good at those. Learn your place in the world. Colin Christensen, 10 for a friend. Dude, thank you so much. Very much appreciated. I would consider you a friend with an N, a hard N. Phoenician, $10. Thank you so much. They are using purposeful language. It's the same reason Nick got upset with Piers about mentioning his dad. Just like Piers, Sitch knows what he is doing and we're tired of it. I don't even... Okay. Good point. My rebuttal is, I don't necessarily know if Sitch knows what he's doing because he thinks there might be a nutta. And this is the criticism of moos like Sitch, even though he's just ethnically mooish. Here's the genetic argument. He's so afraid that he doesn't know he's doing that. All he knows, it's inductive logic. It's not deductive logic. All he knows is the endpoint has to be Nick Bad, very similar to the left and Trump. That's all he knows. So he has an indefensible position because he's so scared and neurotic. So I don't even think he's doing it on purpose. Don't forget he's a midwit, okay? Now, he was more intellectual, just like with James Lindsay when talking about the left. This does not translate to the right. James Lindsay, not a moo, good goy. Sitch is a moo, same effect politically in the end.
Right.
Well, that's the problem, is that it's not, well, both the label, since people, unfortunately, people are word thinkers for the most part, kind of like LLMs, which is ironic. And so, like, when the label loses a lot of its potency because of its overuse incorrectly, then also, like, there's, like, conceptual creep. Then the concept also loses a lot of its potency.
Yeah. We need a new word.
Yeah.
No one cares about racism anymore.
No, you did. You said, I'm a racist.
Who?
You gave yourself a label.
You're gonna have to tone it down a little, all right? You're gonna have
That was the guy saying that Nick Fuentes sounded angry. Oh, mate, fuck you. Oh. And Nick is like, dude, chill, all right?
to bring it down a notch and relax. This is just an interview, okay? Please calm down. All I said is you're hung up. I didn't say you gave me that. Maybe I did.
You did.
But here's what I mean. What I mean is, okay, what I mean is you're just hung up on proving you're a misogynist. Okay, you're a racist. Okay, you deny the Holocaust. And I'm not about the labels,
You didn't
man.
deny
I'm
the
just
Holocaust.
past that.
As I said to you, look, Nick, as I said to you, I just wanted to go over everyone uses out there
Yeah.
about you and get you to respond. And we are getting, I think, a
Yeah.
long way in this interview. Right?
Okay.
You didn't deny the Holocaust. You accepted there's been a Holocaust of at least 6 million Jews.
I'm a maximalist. I'm a Holocaust.
That is significant. You
is more.
You did admit you're a racist, and you have.
There's 4 people on the screen. Only one of them understood what was just said, okay? How do you miss that? How do you not comment on that when he says he's a maximalist?
Spelled
That's
out
true.
a thought process about women, which is the purest definition of misogyny that I've ever seen. And you said you're not gay. So we're getting.
That's the weird thing too, is that in this conversation he says Pierce says you admitted you're a racist. You said that you're racist, and he says that's true. And it doesn't matter because you'll have this conversation with anyone about Nick, forever till the end of time. You'll be like, oh, well, he's racist, and they'll say, no, he's not. What are you talking about? It's like he said he was racist. What are you fucking talking about? Here's a million clips of him saying racist things, and here's a clip of him saying he's racist, and it's just like, no, he's not racist. You're
This
crazy.
is where all the
Believe him.
CRT stuff has done immense damage. Because according
Yes.
to Robin DiAngelo, we're both racist. Piers
Right.
Morgan is a racist.
Right.
Everyone is a racist, right?
How much more of a shitlib can you be where you think racist has like a non-political meaning to it? They think there's like an objective, grounded in reality meaning to it. No. Who do you think made racist? What was it, Leon Trotsky? Didn't invent it. Moo popularized it in the way that it's used now. We'll say it that way. Raymond Martinez, $10. Thank you so much. Hearing this dork talk pisses me off. Debate should have 2 parts. The verbal part and a physical part, where you defend your arguments with violence. I know I'm supposed to say disavow. Obviously, I disavow that. But it's way more fun to say, I completely support that. That's what I'll start doing. When I qualify things, I'll qualify. That's how I'm going to qualify things. As a goof, The friggin' Frenchman for $20, mate. Thank you so much, fellas. So nice. So kind. You're not letting us Christians down, just Jesus. He still loves you, though. Well, I have a theory about that, and I don't know. I honestly don't. I'm fine offending Christians. I don't like offending Christians that like me because they put up with the crazy things that I say, right? So, I don't read, okay? But the real J-Man, okay? The man upstairs seems to be really hooking me up. Really hooking me up. And maybe I know him without having to read anything? Is that Protestantism? Is that Orthodoxy? I'm confused. Help me decipher that feeling I have. And just gonna swing your dick. Super Prillis for $20. Very much appreciated. Also, is my channel technically a monarchy? More on that later.
Right? So
Right.
what's the point?
But that is part of the problem.
Look, Nick
And
is
also,
one of the good racists because he's already admitted it. He's come to terms,
Right.
right?
There you go. There
Like
you go.
Robin, he's signed up for Robin DiAngelo, and he's good with it now.
Well, and I wouldn't even be surprised if you would hear some Nick fan would say what you're saying, like completely trying to pass it off, like as if we don't know that Robert
What you're really
DiAngelo
thinking.
and Piers Morgan have completely different definitions of racism. And they have this conversation.
Right? Yeah. No, but that's the problem.
There is
That's
no
the exact
definition of
problem with
racism.
the
It's
Robin
just
DiAngelo.
anti-white.
Right.
Because they allow people to believe that.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It's kind of the Incredibles when everyone's racist, no one's racist.
It is. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah. Well, look, and I own the labels, okay? But I just don't care that much about them.
That's fine.
I feel like the whole,
I'm not saying
this
you
is
have-
like a weird...
I'm not saying you
Yeah, go
have to
ahead.
care, Nick. You don't have to care about any of it. I promise you. Right? That's not why I got you on the show. I wanted to give you a fair crack, which I think I have. We've gone over a lot of stuff. We've got a bit more to go on. I genuinely don't think I've ambushed you with anything you couldn't have been expecting.
No.
I don't think I've been overtly hostile. In fact, when you've asked me to calm down, I've calmed down. I don't want to have a hostile, angry, shouty.
Go ahead,
So
Sitch.
it's interesting. He says
There you go.
He says he owns the labels.
Yeah.
Because we all just saw that conversation he had with Steven Crowder. Steven Crowder said, "Are you racist?" And he said,
Steven Crowder and Nick Fuentes were having a political friend conversation about making sure that with both of their influence that they can find some common ground and move the direction of the right wing forward. That wasn't hostile territory. Now, if Steven Crowder was going to make it hostile territory, Nick Fuentes loves to roll in the mud, okay? But that wasn't the purpose of that conversation. It's context, Sitch. Now, in this conversation with Piers Morgan, this is stunting. And with fucking clips, dude. He doesn't understand the difference between Nick Fuentes talking to Steven Crowder and fucking Piers Morgan.
he said no. So this is what I mean when I talk about the inauthenticity of Fuentes.
Inauthentic.
Like, he says, "Okay, I'm not racist. I'm talking to Steven Crowder. When I'm talking to Piers Morgan, he says he is racist. What is true here at this point? Why is he saying different things? If he really truly owns the label, then why does he deny it to Crowder? Why didn't he say to Crowder, 'Oh yes, I'm racist, and we're taking it back'? You know, being racist is a cool thing, is a base thing. Why doesn't he say that to Crowder?
You're neurodivergent.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think that the
Adam's
answer
not
is,
listening.
if he said yes to Crowder in the beginning of that conversation, it would force Crowder to have a completely different conversation, because Crowder's not at the point where
Do you see how Sitch has to constantly mind read? Just like the Moose, just like the left. Here's what you know what? I bet he's thinking this. CNN 2016 talking about Trump. I bet he wants to do this.
could sit by and agree with that position. So he's actually has to do the performance where he's like, "Well, no, I'm actually not racist."
Yeah, that's why he's going on all these shows. He's speaking to all of these different audiences.
Yeah.
Yeah. They talk about that in here too. I think the left calls it code switching. Right? He's
They
code
do.
switching. That's
They
what he's
do.
doing. He's like,
Yeah.
look,
Code switching is stupid black talk. As if they created speaking differently around different people. Yeah, dude, I wouldn't want to be a hypocrite, okay? If I slayed some pussy and I'm talking to my friends, well, gotta talk to my mom the same way, right? There is no code switching. You talk to different people differently. We all know this intuitively. Meximan and cheese, $2, thank you. Probably 600 mil if we are being honest. Can't deny it. Here he is. Here he is, God mode enabled for $2. The man who put us on the radar of Adam and Sitch, and the reason probably why this is happening, so thank you. Why did you hissy fit when I called you King Solo Wings, $2. New word. Stackademics Legend, $5. Thank you very much. You end up using purposeful language out of habit if you spend enough time in the longhouse. It's like the hyperbolic time chamber for BPD. Yeah, you become a prisoner of your own mind. God mode, $2, thank you. Look into Adam Green, Jesus is Torah, Messianism. Well, as long as I don't have to read, I will gladly do that. Christos, $5, thank you so much. 6 trillion? Mooish social credit? I don't see why not. Leaf man with a fry in a pan? $5, thank you so much. Women magically imbue you with socio-political knowledge with their vagina, I suppose. Yeah, the left programmed pussy to be the way that they are. And so I turned that off 9 years ago, never looked back. I'm a monk when it comes to that. Infinite Worlds, $2, thank you. Pretty sure Sitch is a moo. Oh, I'm pretty sure he's going to invoke his moodism soon. Very timely for you to say that.
look, this crowd doesn't seem like they're big into Holocaust denial. So
Right. Okay, I'm gonna jump back to a different part now.
In your interview with Stephen Crowder last week, you answered emphatically that you don't hate all Jews. Is that correct? That's your position?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
So I want to play you this clip.
Well, I
and
don't
then
hate any Jews. Let me just amend that. I don't hate any Jews.
Okay. Let's play this clip.
Well, everyone knows that's not true. He doesn't hate any Jews.
what about
Not a
Epstein?
single person is Jewish. He hates. Okay. The whole thing with Tucker was about how much he hates Ben Shapiro.
Thank you, Master Shake. $2. The Longhouse is a synagogue. Thank you. Thank you for educating me.
But he doesn't hate any Jew.
The reason I've had it is because my opposition to world Jewry and Israel is rooted in absolute,
Here we go.
uncontestable fact. We have the truth on our side. That's why we're winning. Because we are telling the truth about the historical antagonism between Jews and Europeans, between Jews and Christians. The theological, historical, racial, cultural, and political antagonisms between organized Jewry and the Christians, organized Jewry and Europeans. And the reason that we are winning that argument is because it's real, it's true. I can prove it, I can show you, I can name the names. I can show you the paper trail, the money. That is why we're winning. That is why all of this is raising the consciousness.
Yep.
When you say
If you're just listening too, it's kind of interesting. They
I
from
know,
Pierce's
they make-
crew. They have
Fuentes
have-
watch himself.
yeah, that not only is Fuentes watching himself, but they have his little face in the bottom right corner. So
Lest we forget, Nick Fuentes is making truth claims. He's saying, I am telling the truth. I can back up everything I'm saying. Now, if a leftist had said that, it's really easy to debunk their proof and what they're saying. This is why it doesn't work with the right, because the right has Christianity, and out of all the religions and all the movements, communism, duplicity is built into it. They admit this. Moodyism, duplicity, in-group, out-group is built into it. Islam, Muslims, duplicity is built in-group, out-group. Christianity actually pursues the truth.
you can see his live reaction to it. And he's nodding along the whole time, too.
Yeah.
So this is, to me, again, where I say this is how it's so inauthentic, is he says, oh, I don't hate any Jews.
Inauthentic!
Well, here's a clip of him talking about how Jews historically and currently are destroying Europe and destroying society and are organized to do this thing, to subvert this thing. It's like, well, what the fuck? So you do hate Jews? It's like, well, no, I don't hate them. I just think they're the worst people ever and are subverting society. But I love
Oh. Sitch is being honest here. He's not being dishonest. He's not being... No. He's being very good faith right now, and he hates all of them. Is what he's saying... Notice how Sitch didn't say he was lying. Do you notice that? Do you notice with the left? They call you racist instead of saying you're wrong?
them. They're wonderful. Everyone knows this isn't true. Everyone can feel on the deepest level, even surface level and deepest level, that this is not true, that this is horribly inauthentic, that this is a lie when he says these things.
You have this opposition to world Jewry. I mean, it's one thing to criticize, for example, the Israeli government over what it's been doing in Gaza. I've done that myself. When you talk about world Jewry, I presume you're talking about the 15 million Jews in the world, and you are opposed to them. How does that square with your position that you don't hate any Jews?
Totalizing, as always. All of them. Can't criticize. Now, criticizing white people? Oh, that's white supremacy. The FBI was headhunting white people for white supremacy. All the studies they come out with. That can be totalizing. Whiteness studies. That can be totalizing. And governmentally and institutionally supported by the left and the moos.
Well, do you take issue with my use of the term world Jewry?
Well, what do you mean by that?
Or do you take issue with it? Do you have a problem with that?
Clarify what you mean by it.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. The gaslighting's crazy because I use that expression on my show all the time. I say organized Jewry, world Jewry. And do you know that for like 30 years, the World Jewish Congress has an annual keynote called the State of World Jewry? Barry Weiss has given it. You can look it up. It's on YouTube. She gives the State of World
But what do you
Jewry
mean?
address.
But Nick, what do you mean by it?
So the argument is, well, when I say that
Okay. Sitch is going to say the argument, and is he going to say that he's wrong? Is he going to be able to steel man and accurately portray Nick Fuentes' argument and then tackle that and prove him wrong? Mr. Midwit.
the Jews are all organized to subvert society, that's fine. I'm actually just referring to this charity nonprofit organization, this pro-Jewish activist organization that I'd never even heard of till today. Most people have never even fucking heard of today. And they have some speech where they use the same language where they say, Jewry. That's actually what the entire time he was talking about this. That's just what he meant. He didn't mean that all Jews were working together to subvert society, Western society. No, he was just talking about this one charity organization.
Notice how he has to talk about what Nick Fuentes really means instead of just... Because what he said is true, and this is what they did with Trump. CNN, 2016. Talk about what he really means. Was he wrong? We're going to tell you what he really means. That's not vindictive and duplicitous at all. That's so good faith.
I mean, people are word thinkers, and I do think
Word thinkers.
people focus on the word Jewry or world Jewry and
Yes.
think that that is something a conspiracy
bad.
theory. Yeah, something a
Yeah.
conspiracy theorist says.
Right.
Yeah, and he did completely neutralize that argument immediately by pointing out that no, this is a common term that Jewish people themselves use.
Which is
It's
true.
not a
He
conspiracy
neutralizes it.
theory.
Well, here's the problem. Yeah, he'll neutralize it to people who are
He
dumb and
neutralized
are not
it.
paying attention to the conversation and don't know anything about the topic.
I mean, look, I think that's optimistic. I think that's very optimistic.
Okay, maybe.
I think this neutralizes it to normies as well. That's why I think, look, I think I'm looking at
You see how they have it in their mind that Nick Fuentes has to be bad, okay? He has to be bad. So when he says a fact, he's neutralizing the conspiracy theory. Even though the truth shows that it's not a conspiracy theory, and that was one, and it's the World Jewish Congress.
this completely differently as you. I'm looking at this as this is like a good performance for normies, and you're looking at it like everyone can see right
Oh,
through
no, I'm
this.
not looking at it from the perspective whatsoever of in this conversation I'm having with you about this.
Uh-huh.
There's two different conversations. There's a conversation about whether this is persuasive to different people, and then there's the conversation of, well, let's actually analyze Nick's points to see if they're true or not.
Mind you, this meandering meta conversation is based on a clip that was shown of Nick Fuentes talking about world Jewry. Piers Morgan had a hair across his ass because Nick Fuentes has to be bad. Nick Fuentes responds with, that's the term they use for themselves, but we still have to have a problem with it like he's Orange Man.
Right. And those are two different conversations. So you could be right that maybe that is persuasive to people. That's fine. But I'm going to analyze it and say why it's a stupid fucking point. It's a stupid point because as a Jewish person, I've never heard another Jewish person say Jewry ever in my entire life.
Here's the issue, Sitch. Here's the issue with what you just said. Okay. He just said as a Jewish person, he hasn't heard of that term. Now, think of what it means when someone says, as a black person. Chat, help me out. Here. Let me put you on screen. Fellas, help me out. So, if I say, as a black person, or if someone says as a black person, what does that mean? That means they are of the black race, right? It might imply certain leftist ideology, right? As a Hispanic person, okay, ethnicity. Hispanic as an ethnicity could mean many things, right? As a Hispanic person, culturally, sure, maybe. As a white person, right? When he says as a Jew, do you mean ethnically? Do you mean religiously? Right? What do you mean by that? Are you religious? Sitch? No, I don't think you are. Would they talk about their plans at the highest echelons of power around Hanukkah with you? Is that what you think? What do you mean? As a moo, Sitch, is the issue and the criticism. It's a religion. It can mean so many things. So, conveniently, now he gets to be in the in-group of the moos. Hey, I'm a moo. I'm in the in-group, and I haven't heard this. But in other conversations, he's like, hey, I don't believe in any of that stuff. So, this is the genetic argument of being duplicitous. It's a confusing identity. It really is. What do you mean, Sitch? And I love that. It's a dumb argument because I haven't heard of it. Oh, yeah, dude. What makes an argument dumb is Sitch not knowing about it. That doesn't make him dumb. No.
This is like the whole thing with like
So
academic
is what
agent.
he's saying true? Did Barry Weiss give a speech?
There
as-
is this organization that's called like the World Jewish Congress or whatever that I never even heard of before.
Adam asks, is it true? looking for a lie. I mean, is it true?
That has some speech where they talk about or they use the term world Jewry or something. Yes,
right. Yeah. True. The state of world Jewry.
Yes.
Okay.
But you understand that just because one organization does this, that has nothing to do with the concept that he's talking about.
Ay, Dios mío, diablo coño tigre. You're killing me. You're pumping the Dominican Spanish out of me. Sitch, baby. I'm going to make this quick, okay? We got NAACP, right? That's for the blacks. We got W.E.B. Du Bois, who was very influenced by the Moose. I'm not going to go into it. We get a Moskowitz on here, okay? Let's search for it. We got a lot. The Mooish community contributed greatly to the NAACP's founding and continued financing. How far do we have to go? Right? What about the CSIS? They put out some of the studies that are used against Christians, right-wingers, white people. The Center for Strategic and International Studies. Wow. Look at that. In Rhode Island, the next state over for me. Their revenue, $43 million. Expenses, $38 million. Wow. Not bad. Not bad at all. Okay. Well, looks like I screwed this one up pretty good, fellas. I mean, who do we got? President John Julian Hammer, you know? Just a regular guy, okay? Wait, Pritzker, why does that sound familiar? The chairman and board of trustees is Thomas Pritzker, is an American billionaire and heir and businessman. Oh, that's J.B. Pritzker's relative. Interesting. Would you know that he's a moo? Ooh, 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 ooh. What do we got? ADL? We got some ADL over here, huh? Wow, they've been around for 112 years, all right? They actually haven't. They actually haven't been around for 112 years. Sitch, they've been around for longer than that. CEO Jonathan Greenblatt, I have covered in other streams that they've only had moos representing them. And why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Well, they're founded to combat anti-Semitism, okay? 112 years, Sitch. I know you don't know about it. Not a lot of people do, but it's open information and it's crazy. It was founded in late September in 1913 by the Independent Order of B'nai B'rith, a Mooish service organization. So it really wasn't started in 1913, Sitch. You see, it was really started in 1843. Which is incredible because this is close to when the Communist Manifesto came out. Why am I bringing up the Communist Manifesto? Well, that was written in Germany by Karl Marx. Where did they come from? Oh, they were German Mooish immigrants. And what's B'nai B'rith? Well, it translates to Children of the Covenant. And they were an international Mooish fraternal organization in 1843. Sitch. How have they been communicating globally for their interests while we still had slaves in the country? I'm not even going to show you that they owned slaves in the country. They did. That's how long they've been here. When did they first come to the United States? 1600s. But that's not why we're here, Sitch. But that's the rabbi hole. That was just a glimpse, buddy. What were we talking about? I don't know.
No, obviously, look, there is a conspiracy.
Well, that's what I'm. Okay,
there's
so
a conspiracy that Jews run the world, okay? And a lot of people who believe that conspiracy use the term world Jewry, right?
Right.
But there is also people in like society, right? In academia, in the media, whatever, they use the term as well.
In academia and media. Ha! Is there any disproportionate representation in those two areas? Which isn't even controversial. It's just a fact. I'm going to pop like a pimple. I'm so mad right now. LaserLad89, $5. Thank you so much. Adam and Itch, will never be invited on a talk show to share their ideas. They don't get the game. Thus, they will only ever comment on power and never wield it. Ah, yes, exactly. There needs to be a level of antagonization. That just works. Sorry, humans. Sorry, liberals. I'm not going to say sorry, communists or moos, because they understand that. There has to be a level of antagonization to get people's attention. Should I even tell you about my Sikh influence on this? That's right, there's an Indian influence on what I do. Leafman with a fried pan, thank you. $2. Mooish students be like, I don't know, gets an A+. Yeah. Sikhs have a concept of, this is the gurus, poke, provoke, confront, elevate. You poke to get their attention. You provoke to initiate a confrontation. And then with that confrontation, you elevate their consciousness, which I've been using for about 5 years now, I think. Unconsciously, by the way. I was more aware of it once I heard that, but I was already kind of doing that.
So it is good rhetorically for him to say,
Yeah, no, this is a good.
Yeah.
If he's trying to weasel out of this stuff, this would be the way to weasel out of it. 100%. Yes.
right,
I
but
understand. I agree with that.
Piers
Okay.
never pivots to, well, do you believe the conspiracy?
Right. You're
Which
right.
is horrible.
What is the
Yeah,
conspiracy?
like-
he just said the truth.
Pierce doesn't do a good job in a
So
lot
this
of parts
this
of the
section
conversation.
here, when Nick Fuentes, okay?
Just like a shit lib, didn't hold him to account well enough. This is the conversation of Nick Fuentes, fellas, for the next few years. This is it. This is all they have. They didn't do it. Let's try it at this time. Do you see where the communists get it from? Let's try the same strategy this time and see if it works.
And look at,
Well,
I'm looking at it
maybe.
as the normies are going to look at this and they're going to think, oh, this guy's fine.
So, moving aside from
All the normies are going to go to work now and talk about world jewelry and think, oh, it's fine. Barry
I
Weiss
don't-
speaks at the World Jewelry Conference every year.
don't
Not a lot of
think so,
depth to what you're saying.
because if Nick Fuentes is going on and on about how there's organized Negroes or colored people that are trying to subvert white society,
Mhm.
and then you say, well, what the fuck are you talking
He
about?
talks
That
about
sounds
the
crazy.
NAACP.
That sounds totally racist. And he's like, well, no, it's not racist.
This is what is known as in the debate bro community as a false equivocation. Sure, there is an analogy there. An analogy is meant to take two different things to draw a comparison. His comparison is a false equivalency. Nick Nilsson, thank you so much. Gifted 5 rhetorically defective memberships. Again, 2 streams, 10 hours recently. That's not the norm, so I can't promise that's going to happen all the time, but that'll give you some stuff to chew on. Now, I hate to repeat myself. Vasker, 9387, thank you so much. Gifted 5 memberships. Same thing. Also, there's some lore in there for fellas. I have a really embarrassing story about 6 months into me being now 9 years celibate, which is a really embarrassing story that can only be behind the paywall. You'll find it. Daneska, $5, thank you so much. Every debate should start with defining the subject. Piers and Nick don't have the same definition of the word racist racism. I'm black and I love Nick. So, this is Sitch's Law in his community, where the debate becomes about the definition of the word. That's why we don't care about labels, definitions. Let's talk about descriptively, which only the right wing has a monopoly on this. Descriptive reality. Let's just talk about what it is.
Because actually, there's an organization in America called the NAACP, and it's called the National Advancement of Colored People, right in the title. It's called right there, right? I don't think that's going to be persuasive. to most
People have, yes, but people have enough context to realize why that's not persuasive. They know
I say,
that
well, that's
they
a good
don't
point because-
necessarily, nobody uses this term jewelry. I
But see,
never
that's-
use it. I don't know if it's good or bad or
Right.
what.
But
This
see,
is the
that's-
first
that's
I'm hearing of it.
That's a good point, is because so we're simultaneously.
Yeah, it's like calling a black person a shine. No one's heard of that. So what?
It's kind of interesting. It's kind of an interesting, not hypocrisy, but kind of an interesting duality of this is that maybe you can get away with persuading people that this term jewelry isn't meant to be offensive by citing something no one's ever fucking heard of before, but then also
Yes.
trying to say that it's common. And you're like, well, if it's common, then how's no one ever fucking heard of it before?
Well, they would think because I'm not Jewish.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
They don't have the Jewish perspective. Like you
Right.
think it's uncommon because you.
You hear that? The Jewish perspective. Huh. Would he ever say the white perspective? Huh? That a little weird, anybody?
have a Jewish perspective. So.
Yes. Yes. And I've only ever heard
I've only ever heard the
people that
conspiracy theorists.
yeah,
use
I've
it.
only ever heard the people that hate
Right.
the Jews bring up this term and use it in any sort of context
Right.
whatsoever.
But look, I'm not privy. I don't go to synagogue, so I don't know. Maybe they say it every week at synagogue. I don't know.
Make it a big joke.
Right.
On one hand, Nick Fuentes is terrifying and dangerous. On the other hand, he just told the truth and they just laugh it off. Pathetic. This makes me mad. And it should make me mad. I won't tell you how to feel, but this is what frustrates me.
I mean, you have to talk about, there's a concept of Jewish peoplehood. It's the sense that they are part of a common nationality, a common tribe, a common people.
It just goes into Nick. It's as if Nick was debating Adam and Sitch right now, and then they push play, and it's the perfect response to what they just fucking said.
And so where they reside in Israel, the United States, or Europe, or elsewhere, they see each other above, or maybe on a different level, alongside their nationality, their state, wherever they reside. If they're in Germany, France, the United States, they see themselves as part of a transnational nation, of an international nation. The Jews in America, the Jews in Israel, they identify as Israeli or American, but they also have something in common. They identify as part of a common nation, which I would say there's a world Jewish population. It's world Jewry. And
So he does immediately after this is it. I mean, again, these conversations, people only pay attention to half of it and they kind of tap out or whatever. He does immediately say afterwards, well, he's not talking about whatever this dumb organization is. He's talking about he does believe that Jews are active in this cabal together where they place their group identity above.
He specifically read passages from the Talmud. You can grok this right now, and they will confirm in terms of gift giving. And there's rules for, they have a word Gentile and Goy, dude. Sitch. We know the secrets, okay? Now, I know you're afraid there's going to be a nutta, but this is not, you don't lie in order to combat that. You acknowledge, Sitch, here's what you should do. Let me let you know how to be rhetorically effective, okay? Disavow that and say, I don't support that. I know that there is that problem in Moodyism. And then if you wanted to, deflect to Christianity and attack Christianity because that's all you have. That's all. What else can you do, really?
Of, whatever America or whatever country that they're from, which he said several times in, on his own show.
Yeah.
interest as that nation, as that tribe.
So if you don't hate any Jews, what do you like about them?
I like a lot
None of
things
you
about them. I
laughed.
think they're funny. I think they're smart. I think that they're pretty remarkable people. And as Christians, especially as Catholics, we say they're remarkable. And this has been adjudicated in Catholic doctrine for thousands of years. We say that they're a witness people. And so we actually, there's provisions inside of Catholic doctrine that says we need to give them special protections because they were a witness to Christ's passion. So, this is why you can't clip the show. You have to watch the whole thing. I say this repeatedly in interviews. I do think they're remarkable. By definition, they're exceptional people. It's just that there is a sort of natural opposition between them and Christians because of the theology. We believe that Christ is a Messiah. They don't. They
Tell him
have
he's
been
wrong.
a minority in Christian lands for thousands of years.
Sitch,
And they've
say
been
he's
pushed
wrong.
around and expelled, and they've been persecuted and segregated. And that's why there's a lot of paranoia.
Make
There's a lot
something
of
up, Sitch.
distrust.
He's
There's
telling the
maybe
truth.
some sense of chauvinism among Jewish people. So there is, like I said in that clip, there is an historical antagonism between these two peoples, between Christendom and Jewry.
Sitch, pull the
and that's
ripcord,
always
call
been
him a
the case in
Nazi,
Europe.
quick!
But I don't hate them. And I think I actually sort of understand them in a weird way. I think that because I've studied a lot of their politics, I think I really kind of know them in a way.
Do you
And
have
it doesn't
any-
come from a place of hatred.
Do you have any Jewish friends?
I do. I have many, yes.
Well, that's weird because you said this.
Jews
Yeah.
and Christians have never been friends, ever.
Yeah, this is good faith, right, Sitch? He can't criticize Piers because I'm not going to call Nick Orange Man bad. Fellas, what do we do? What do we call him? What do we call, instead of Orange Man bad, what do we use? Help me out in chat, please.
Ever. Not since Jesus Christ fought with the Pharisees have we ever been friends. Not since Saul was leading the charge persecuting the Christians. Not since the Roman Empire, not since the Middle Ages. Never. We've never been friends. We've never been allies. We've always been set against each other, actually. And even here in the United States, it was communist Jews who were the architects of both communism and the civil rights laws that are dispossessing white Christians of their land and civilization.
So Jews and Christians have never
This is where I see the massive inauthenticity, the massive dishonesty of him. This will go on that 1 minute spiel about how great Jews are, and then it's like, well, here's a clip of you talking about how fucking horrible they are.
You have to make yourself retarded in order to be Sitch. he said they were good and now he's saying they're bad. I told you it's splitting, dude. I showed you with Adam Conover in a previous video. I showed you with they all look alike to me. White people I don't like all look alike to me. Was it Seth Dillon? Oh, everything's good, everything's bad? Here we go, Sitch. Picking up with the left off a couple of years ago. He's either good or bad. He can't be good and bad.
And how Christians hated Jews and have good reason to hate Jews, actually, from the beginning for the last 2,000 years.
Right.
Never been friends ever, except for you and your Jewish friends.
Yeah, so easy. As peoples, as nations.
Got it.
Not saying every individual Christian, and of course there have been
Oh, listen, the Jews, this is like so stupid. The argument is, oh, well, the Jews, they've subverted your society as a group. But as an individual person, you shouldn't judge them as an individual. You can totally be friends with Jews as an individual.
That's the most clear and respectful Christian way of saying that. So, like, if people work at McDonald's and someone's criticizing the people that own McDonald's, does Sitch think that people are criticizing everyone that works at McDonald's? No, it's the people in charge. This is how a hierarchy of power works, which apparently only the right wing understands. It's not all of them. Many are innocent and fucking stupid, like you, Sitch, and have no idea what's going on. No matter how much evidence is shown to you, you're somehow chemically programmed to be this way. He is criticizing, in the aggregate, in general, same thing with the blacks. We understand what he means in general, and we also understand treating a person as a person. You might be suspicious and whatnot. There's a whole process. There's positive stereotyping. I stereotype and judge people every day. And then I don't treat them that way, though. I have an idea in my mind, but I give them a fair shot. Am I talking to a fucking kindergartner? I'm gonna have to rip a heater soon, fellas. Okay, I'm gonna try and hold off.
Yes. He should have had that clip that we played a few Sundays ago, where someone asked him this exact question. They said, someone in his audience on his own show says, do you have Jewish friends? And he says, yes. And he says, okay, do you trust those friends that are Jewish? And he says, no. He says he personally does not trust his own friends that are Jewish.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I have lots of friends I don't trust, so.
No
but
sells
you don't
it.
trust them not on the basis of whatever their religion or ethnicity is. You don't trust them on the basis of that.
I know their personality. I'm like,
right,
nah,
but he was saying in that clip, he doesn't trust them because
based
they're
on,
Jewish.
exactly, yeah.
But it's so interesting. And I guess it's part of when we talk about like the persuasion element, or we talk about like what's going on in the internet sphere about it is, and maybe this is like a strength here. This is one of the great strengths that he has for his audience, is that he has cultivated an audience of people who are fine with him lying. Like they're totally fine with him lying, and they will repeat the lies themselves in public settings constantly for any reason.
Yeah, I think there's probably a subset that actually believe the lies, that don't really see them as lies.
I think there could be, but I think it's very small. I think it's their minority of the people that follow him.
I mean, this is the interesting thing about the performance, because
you
have two groups of people who believe contradictory things that both believe Nick Fuentes, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's the people that believe, and there's the people who believe that he's lying because they want him to believe the more incendiary thing that they believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Christians and there have been Christian converts to Judaism, Jewish converts, Christian. You're nodding your head, but you're asking this. I'm saying as peoples, they've
No,
never
I hear
been
you.
aligned.
As a Roman, I'm a Catholic like you, and I have many Jewish friends. I'm just trying to compute what you're trying to say.
Yeah, Piers is a Catholic like him, which is why he's shaming him into not having promiscuous sex before marriage. I'm like you, fellow Catholic.
Which is Jews and Christians have never been friends ever. And I'm like, well, you have Jewish friends, I have Jewish friends, we're both Catholics, therefore we're Christians. It doesn't really quite add up.
Well, like I said, as peoples, there has been an historical antagonism as peoples. And you could even say the same about blacks in the United States. Of course, there were black and white people that were friendly with each other, but in many ways, they were set against each other as groups. And
it's like explaining it to a child.
I think that's easy enough to understand.
The reason
this also came up in the Tucker conversation with, one of the few parts that Tucker was pushing back was he did say that he doesn't think people should be judged on the basis of their group identity. And he was talking about Jews and blacks. And Nick's response in that conversation was to dismiss all that and say that, he does believe in group identification. He doesn't believe in sort of the liberal individualism that exists in the West, and that we shouldn't. He thinks that thinking about things that way is actually terrible and bad.
Terrible and bad, not good.
That many people think you're anti-Semitic is that you have regularly downplayed the Holocaust, and in particular the number of Jewish people.
Perfect. Fellas, I gotta take a 5-minute break. I'm gonna piss my brains out. Slackademics Legend, $5, mate. Thank you so much. It's not even a de facto versus de ledge thing. I'm an idiot. I don't know what that means. They share a special legal status, if not in their current country, then in the eyes of the promised land. I'm sure that makes absolute sense. Double Mumble, $5. Thank you so much. Maybe Piers is mocking Nick for being a virgin because his wife is bored of him. Oh my God. I want to sink my teeth into it so badly, but I can't. I ethically can't do it. You're going to have to. You're going to have to give me 5 minutes, fellas, okay? I'll be right back. If you want this to continue and be extended, you'll have to give me 5 minutes.
Volume on that's still a bit low. We got to sort that out.
That's good enough.
Of dedicated activists. It's alien to be lack of compassion, lack of justice, lack of peace, lack of wanting to get together. That's alien to my country.
6,000 affordable homes on track.
You notice, right? When the Muzzy comes up, he's all about, we want more stuff, we want more money, right? All the whites and shit are just like, oh, we want like
justice
fairness and democracy and all this like abstract stuff, right? But the Muzzy gets up and he's like, we want to build more houses, we want like more welfare benefits. Oh God.
We want to name the streets after Islamic conquerors.
Yeah, exactly.
More to deliver. Winter fuel payment for our pensioners. School uniform grants. Your party has the opportunity to take policies like this nationwide.
In the 6th richest country in the world, life can be better.
Hope, despite everything, truly despite everything, must be the most revolutionary act there is.
Wow.
There you go. You've all got brain cancer now. Enjoy.
That is only a parody. I mean, how do you make fun of that unless you just try to accurately emulate it?
It is sort of peak clown world, really, right? Like, you know, you couldn't actually exaggerate it anymore, right? Like how would you even exaggerate? Like the Scottish haggis thing walks up with like a dildo in each hand and is like, you know, give it up for the trans people, woo! Like my bad dragon dildos. I mean, like, what the hell? I'm probably gonna get arrested for this, you know. So, the Franklin memes have been going around, and I just thought I'd like share a few of these because, like, you know, these are pretty fucking awesome. Franklin deports Dora. No.
Oh my God! Like, look at who's filming at the head. They're filming at the bottom.
Yeah, I know, right? Franklin defends the public library. Why is it that like the whites are always represented by like amphibious, like green amphibians, like Pepe or Franklin the turtle? I don't know why, but
it's an actual societal phenomenon that can't really be explained.
It totally works. Franklin explains what Dr. Fauci deserves. Oh, mate. Oh, I can't believe he's still walking around.
We do have Franklin emojis in the chat, by the way. It has been updated.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Franklin is the kind of tired that sleep just won't fix. Otherwise known as Wednesday, you know.
Right.
Franklin learns about George Floyd's autopsy.
Media literacy, facts versus narrative, toxicology.
Dude, these are so good, man. Franklin laments what must be done.
Yeah, the future that you want to have is going to have to go through unbelievable violence to happen.
God, man.
Yeah,
these are so good. Sorry.
The people that like created him say like, didn't they try and cry about people not doing this? Were they like, hey, we disavow anyone doing that? As if the internet's gonna go, okay, well, you won fair and square. I guess we'll stop now.
Yep. It's in the hands of the meme lords now. This is my favorite one. Franklin retakes Constantinople. Based Franklin. The Lord is with you. What's this one? Franklin meets Joe Biden.
Yeah, we all really forgot about when our president was sniffing children in public. We really do forget about that, don't we?
I always wanted to know what a turtle smells like. I bet it smells real good. It's been a while since I've had to whip out my Joe Biden impression. Probably
keep it in, okay?
Franklin discovers what books they burn. Franklin calls Redditors fags.
Wow, look at how real and lifelike the Redditors are.
So good. These are so fucking good. Franklin, he's a bit on hard times now. Franklin's bitch better have his money. And I think we're nearing the end. Franklin saves a woman from a crazy lunatic on the subway.
I didn't see that one.
Oh my God. No, we got a few more. Franklin and his friends defend the Christmas market. That's for all you Europeans. Oh, no, because they had Waukesha, actually. So,
yeah,
that's applicable everywhere.
See, we're not so different, you and I.
That's right. We come together over so much. Yeah, that's the end. That's the end of the Franklin memes. I think we've got a couple of super chats, actually, as well.
Yes, sir.
Total blackout painting for 10 US Federal Reserve dollars.
Oh, hold on. Let's get fancy.
Wait.
Let's get done up from the front up.
What is that? Here we go. Oh, come on. What's going on with the... Yeah, we go. Have a dancing clown, Pepe. TBP. My youngest kids grew up watching that show. I hated that stupid turtle. I'm glad he's getting reformed. Now we can have a turtle and a frog.
Isn't that great? He's getting reformed. I like it. See? We're reforming him. What's wrong with reform?
Yeah, that's right.
I like that.
We're transing him, except into like something based.
Yeah, we just want to reform the moose. That's all I want to do. I like that. I'm going to use that going forward.
Newsfist, that's a honkler. Yes, yeah, I know it's a honkler. Thank you. My Pepe law. So,
we got Andrew's Animatics for €2. Is that a euro? Do you guys still do pounds? What country is that? Spain. It's a Spanish euro. Am I doing it right?
No, it's a euro, right? The European Union has swallowed practically all of the countries in its orbit. Repeal the 90s globally. Love from Spain anglers. Oh, well.
Thank you, mate.
Love to you too. If I could, hola, burrito, nacho. I speak Spanish, right?
That's that. I would. Oh, that is brown stuff, buddy. That is not Anglo cuisine. All right, bud. Whoa, where did that come from? All right, mate. Sorry about that. Are you guys shuddering right now? Are you going to shudder? Because there might be another? Absolutely shuddering. At a nutterin'. Here we go. All right, Sitch. Let's see how you can play your identity.
Who were murdered by the Nazis. It's been said that you believe no more than several 100,000 have been killed. And I want to play you this clip.
People talk about, what about the gas chambers? Well, to the extent that that's real, I find that hard to believe, but to the extent that's real, there have been atrocities committed and genocides committed in all times and all places. Let's acknowledge why Hitler casts the long shadow. Because that confers a political benefit upon Jews. That's why.
It doesn't really sound correct to me. Wait a second. It takes 1 hour to cook a batch of cookies, and you have 15 ovens, probably in 4 different kitchens, right? Doing 24 hours a day, every day for 5 years. How long would it take?
You'll notice that he includes these two clips together. They're two separate thoughts.
He'd make 6 million. I don't know. It certainly wouldn't be 5 years, right? The math doesn't seem to add up there.
You think that's funny?
It's funny. It's amusing what you're doing because, that one was a joke. But do you want to talk seriously about the Holocaust?
Yeah, I do actually. I mean, I do because I just find it extraordinary that you would think the Holocaust could ever be something that we could joke about.
Why, too soon? Is it too soon?
Imagine having to not laugh and be offended and take that seriously.
To make jokes?
How many people do you think died in the Holocaust? How many Jewish people?
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe 7 million. What's the number? 6 million, something like that?
So you
8 million?
You concede that 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust?
Possibly more. Possibly, we're discovering all the time. So it could maybe even be more than that.
So why have you doubted the numbers?
Yeah, see, this seems completely inauthentic. Well, it seems
Inauthentic.
It seems dual purpose. It seems authentic to his audience.
Sitch has been so authentic. Piers has been so authentic. But of course, the target of their ire has to be so authentic the entire time, no matter how his interlocutor has been behaving.
Where he completely goes in Andy Kaufman mode here. Where he's like, what, 10 billion, 20 billion.
That's
50
a
billion.
good comparison. Well, even though most people probably don't even know it. But yeah, it is very Andy Kaufman-esque performance.
Yeah. You tell me how many.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
In the past?
I'll tell you why. I really think that every death is a tragedy, however many Jewish people died in the Holocaust. And I'm not a World War II historian, so I'm actually open to believing the official narrative, and I've read.
How can you believe that every death is a tragedy for people that died in the Holocaust, but then say that Hitler is awesome?
Well,
Doesn't
and
make
to
any
laugh
sense.
at the guy that his mom got killed.
Yes.
I mean, that's
Right.
pretty brutal.
Yeah.
To elicit this reaction out of you, because this is the secular religion of the post-World War II consensus, and it is spitting in the face of that because, fellas, as I've said, and I'll keep saying it, this is it. The United States, you don't need a reason. You can deny it. You can't do that in 20 other countries. That's why.
But again, it's just his audience just doesn't care. They're just totally fine with him lying.
Well, this is the thing, because a lot of it for me, it depends upon the state of the world. I can understand where people who are desperate, who feel abandoned by society, they don't give a fuck. They don't give two shits about this dude losing his mom in the Holocaust. They're like, I can't survive. I can't find a job.
Is Adam invoking the economic conditions, the material conditions of people as to why they don't care? Not quite right-wing, not quite liberal, possibly a Marxist interpretation of what's happening.
I can't find a girlfriend. I'm never going to own a home. So there's real problems going on with people, and to ask them to care about your mom dying in the Holocaust a fucking million years ago, I think asking those people to care about that is not effective. Not effective in this. And that's basically what Piers Morgan is doing.
So what you're saying is very true, but this is the insidious nature,
the
despicable nature of what Nick is doing and what people have been doing.
You're despicable. All this emotionally loaded language that we're all used to
since the dawn of time is, you're right. There's all these people right now in America and all over the world that have real problems.
Yeah.
Real financial problems, real relationship problems, real health problems. But the thing is, then you have someone like Nick comes along and he says, who's the reason for all those problems you have right now?
Yeah.
It's the Jews.
Yeah, I know. It's
black
scary.
people.
Look,
right.
I get it.
All that energy that you have, all that anger you have.
Thank you, Sitch. So, the reason for all of your problems, no, of course not. It's totalizing, bad faith. The opponent to white self-interest and advocacy has been the Moose. I posted on my now banned account for the next 5 days. Has a Mooish NGO ever advocated for white people? Understanding the question. The query asks, whether any non-governmental organization explicitly identified as Mooish, founded by, led by, or primarily serving the Mooish community, has ever publicly advocated specifically for white people, interpreted here as promoting the interests, rights, or advancement of white people as a racial or ethnic group. This could include efforts against discrimination targeting whites, support for white cultural preservation, or advocacy framed around white identity. Based on extensive searches across web sources and X discussions, no such examples exist. Mooish NGOs have a long history of broad human rights and anti-discrimination work, often rooted in Mooish values, Tikkun Olam, which we have covered in the live stream. However, their advocacy typically focuses on marginalized groups, like racial minorities, immigrants, LGBTQ plus people, and explicitly opposes white supremacy or racial hierarchies that privilege whites. When addressing whiteness, it is usually critiqued as a system of power rather than defended. Also very important, what does marginalized mean? To relegate to an unimportant or powerless position within a society or group. By definition, the Moos have marginalized the whites, and this is why we don't care about, this is why we don't shudder for another Sitch, bitch.
Towards the things going on in your life right now. It's all the Jews' fault. It's all black people's fault. It's all these groups of people's fault whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know, they're the ones that do all of these things, which at the end of the day, number one, it's not even fucking true. And so any sort of energy that's going towards improving, that could be going towards actually improving your life or improving your society through legislation or political activism is now just wasted. It's all stolen and wasted and given to Nick Fuentes and Nick Fuentes' movement when it's not going to create any sort of positive change in any person's life whatsoever. It's just going to create more negative change.
Yeah, but Piers' way of fighting this is to present somebody whose mom died in the Holocaust and say, look, you should feel bad about this.
Embarrassing.
Which doesn't address the problem either. Like that, I think, I don't think Piers did a good job in this at all.
Well, I don't think Pierce's reasoning or thought process was.
It's an hour and 9 minutes in, and Adam's like, you know what? I think Piers didn't do a very good job. Wow. Wow. How are people not flocking to you guys? How are you not growing your massive base of live viewers with that hot take an hour and 9 minutes in?
I want to convince Fuentes' audience or young people that hating black people and Jews is bad. I don't think that was his thought process. I think his thought process was, I think his thought process was, I want to convince the normies out there or older people that Nick Fuentes is who people are saying he is. He is a person who does hate Jews, does hate black people, does hate women.
Is it anti-Semitic for me to say that a Moo is exactly who we think they are? Yeah? I guess what does that word mean then, if that's what it means?
I think that was the point of the conversation from his perspective. At least that's how he's handling the conversation.
Did those people need convincing? For me, the problem is a widespread following that is fine with these ideas, or young people who are becoming politically active. That for me is a real problem.
I think it is important to make it like just so ironclad solid to the people that haven't bought into this, what he is and what he represents, because this is the whole problem. This is the whole thing that we had in all these conversations where he was on Crowder and all these other, and Tucker Carlson and all these other things, that he kept going on all these podcasts and basically they were laundering his reputation.
Right.
And so then now he's on Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan's like, well, I'm not going to launder his reputation. I'm going to show people what he is. And you're right. That's not going to be persuasive to his fans? Obviously not. But that's not the point. The point was to show to people that aren't his fans what he really is and what he really believes and what he really supports.
Yeah, showing Moos as they really are and what they really believe is anti-citrus.
And I do think that's really important.
And, as we all know,
anti-citrus.
And that's why you can't do it.
And I don't think that Piers Morgan, of all people, is capable of. I don't think most people are not capable of convincing the angry young people, hey, you shouldn't be racist. Hey, you shouldn't hate Jew people. I don't think you can convince someone of that once they go down that pathway. I think their lives have to change for the better. I think if you want to convince them that Nick is bad, you have to do that by just making fun of him.
Nick is
diminishing
bad.
Him,
Groiperman bad.
Pathetic. I don't think it's like a position. It's not like a logical position. I think that you're going to like convince someone out of through logic or facts and reasons or anything like that.
Yeah, I think the numbers matter.
Yeah, you can't logically counter what Nick Fuentes is saying with facts or anything. Right. Couldn't agree more, Sitch.
The numbers definitely matter. So
read some of the conspiracy theories, and to tell you the truth, it's a rigorous debate. But you know what's interesting about this is in many countries it's not even.
So he just said it's the whole. He believes in numbers, but then he says it's a rigorous debate, and now he's going to go on a whole, minute-long thing about how yes, in Europe, they make Holocaust denial illegal in a lot of countries, and blah blah blah. People weren't allowed to study, and all this other stuff. And then Piers says, I don't agree with any of that stuff, and that's all terrible. But it doesn't really have anything to do with the conversation, really, what's all, or your positions.
yeah, he gets.
Oh, yeah, your entire conversation has a lot to do with Nick Fuentes' positions, right? Dude, stop. I don't want to do this to you. I want to like you guys.
Piers Morgan to agree with him for 25 minutes.
There is no debate to be had about the number of people who were murdered. Even the Nazis in the trials after the war.
And why, again, this is why I say the inauthenticity, dishonesty. When he says there's no debate there, and Nick gives the face of like, what are you talking about? I thought he just said that he thought 6 million, 7 million people died in the Holocaust. Now he's saying that there's a debate, and he acts surprised when Piers says that there's.
Can we confirm that Sitch diagnostically has autism? Right? That's autism. That's either being a moo or being autistic, where he doesn't understand context, tone. Does Sitch think that Nick Fuentes thinks that the number's 8 million? It's really, see, this is the making of a lol cow, where I don't know if they're serious or they're being stupid.
There's no debate.
Right. Well, obviously there are people who are Holocaust deniers that will debate this to no end, right?
Of course. But Nick is one of those people.
They are
one of those people.
There are flat earthers, right? That will debate the flat earth.
Of course.
So to say that there is no debate is just, I mean, there's no academic debate, that's for sure.
Right.
It's
Well,
just
that's
the
what
crazies
would
out
be
there
the.
debating.
Are you really a liberal if this is how you engage in the marketplace of ideas?
That's the implied phraseology in what he's saying. There's not a real academic debate.
I mean,
about it.
Piers Morgan would have been better off to bring up flat earth to make the point.
Right.
Yeah.
The numbers, the amount of documentation that was recovered, notwithstanding the attempts by the Nazis to destroy it, the amount of documentation that was saved and preserved and used for trials and for historical record is unprecedented in the history of mass slaughter of human beings. So we have a very clear idea of how many people were gassed to death in the gas chambers. We have a very clear idea of how many were starved to death, were kept in ghettos, died of disease, of forced labor, of death marches. We know how many Jews were slaughtered. It's at least 6 million. What's interesting to me is that you appear to now concede that, which may be news to a lot of your regular viewers who have constantly heard you quibble with the number of Jews who died in the Holocaust. And for the record, just to confirm what I think you told me, you do now accept that at least 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust.
Well, no, I said it could even be higher than that.
Well, it could be higher. That is
I think
true.
it's at least.
But you
I think you're
accept
right.
at
It's at least. Oh, it's at least 6 million. But it could be 100 times
people
more
are
than
gonna
that.
be, okay. The people are going to be.
But let me respond to the rest of your question.
Sure.
What you're saying, I understand.
We can agree Piers has an excuse, being a boomer, even with all of his media literacy, to not catch that, sure. But Adam and Sitch are supposed to be the cool guys, the liberal guys that are online, understand internet culture, understand what's going on, right over their heads.
And where you're coming from when you say it has been documented and there are confessions and so on, let that speak for itself. But you don't see, your show is called Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Yep.
But the United Kingdom is censored and Europe is censored. And if you talk about these things, you will be put in jail in many countries. And I think that's where a lot of people start to say, well, If the truth is so clear and if there's such overwhelming evidence, why do you need to throw people in jail for disagreeing? And you yourself said, well, there is no debate. I think everything is debatable. I think everything.
This is the just asking questions segment.
Okay, Sitch. Well, why is it, if it's true, does it have to be illegal to doubt what you've been told about this event in 19 countries, but you can still lie about the government of those countries, and that's legal? Here we go.
Oh, yes. I 100% believe that 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust. But if it's so undeniable, then why do people have a problem with it being questioned? I'm just asking that question. Why do people have a problem? I mean, I believe it, but I don't understand why everyone else has a problem with it.
People have a propensity to believe things that are wildly untrue.
What are we talking about, guys?
Encourage that? Do we want to live in a society where people believe things that are wildly untrue?
No.
I mean, that's a tactic that
Adam asking this question is the precursor for post-liberal authoritarianism right now. They are just asking questions, and they have no answers. And this is why people start to feel authoritarian.
I would use here. But Piers doesn't use that tactic. Piers is like, jumps onto the free speech. He's won over by the free speech thing.
Thing at least should be debated. And if the evidence is very one-sided, let the evidence speak. Don't throw people in jail. So do you think that Holocaust denial laws should be overturned?
I don't particularly agree with Holocaust denial laws. I don't think people should be imprisoned.
Okay.
Well, because I have a blanket view now, which has evolved slightly actually over the years, that I have a blanket view that speech should not be criminalized, right? People should be allowed to say what they want to say, and they should be then made accountable for what they say. If you
See, and now they're on to free speech. They're not really talking about the ramifications of presenting someone with this idea that it's
Always with the backseat debate tactics. See, this is what the liberals do when it comes to responsible platforming. And Nick Fuentes, always an issue with it. Why didn't he say what I'm thinking right now?
perfectly fine to believe because this is a debate. It's perfectly fine to believe the earth is flat, right? That's not going to do any sort of damage to society. It's perfectly fine to believe Jews are controlling everything.
Not everything, just discussing the influence that they've had in certain areas that are very provable. Colin Christensen, $5, thank you so much. What's my opinion on it? Did it happen or no? I don't think it did, to be honest. I don't care if you don't think it happened. I think it happened. I know for a fact we've been lied to about it. Like with many things in history. In no way, it's definitely exaggerated. I'm 100% positive that it's been exaggerated. I'll put it to you that way. Think of it this way. The people that covered the modern history of Kyle Rittenhouse when there was cameras around and tried to make him seem dangerous and like a white supremacist, those are the people that have been in control of history. Put it to you that way.
Going to cause all sorts of bigotry and racism in the world.
Didn't know if you know this. No cameras back then. So, well, imagine if there was no cameras for Kyle Rittenhouse. That's how I feel about it.
I mean, it's a completely different question.
Yeah.
You can present wild things for people to believe, and they will believe them. That could be completely detrimental to society. That's the question. That's the debate to be had.
Yeah, like it's this universalism where we're all the same and it's a blank slate. And we shouldn't just prefer immigration from Europe. And we should definitely have changed it half moo in the Hart-Celler Act in the 1960s, which, it is hilarious that in like 1964, it's like, hey, the country is unbelievably racist. And we have a racial reckoning, and we need forced integration to get blacks and whites to coexist with each other. 1 year later, let's invite the whole world in. Who are we kidding? It'll be fine. Yeah. Tall tale indeed.
Yeah,
But look,
it is.
Nick is never asked to answer that question.
Well, that would be interesting. I mean, Nick doesn't believe in free speech. Well, he's flip-flops on it all the time, obviously. He believes in free speech when it
What if
assists him.
people believed all Christians were pedophiles?
Right.
Can we just debate that? Should we publicly debate that? Should we present a large group?
Yes. And there's plenty of Christians that have historical precedent that differentiate Christianity from other religions. And they would say that the ones that are not Christian. Fuck me, I'm not an atheist and I fucking know that shit. Absolutely. You think Christians would be afraid of that debate? You don't think they'd be able to turn it around on teachers in schools and atheists? You fucking idiot. Do you think before you speak, Adam?
group of people that believe all Christians are pedophiles? Is that a good world to live in, right?
Right. If there was some mass movement that started the game, well, this is how it this is why it's difficult, because I am also reflexively on the side of free speech in most situations.
He is reflexively on the side of free speech in most situations. Are we going to get a but, or however, or perhaps? That's a precursor to a misdirection.
Where I say, yeah, well, people shouldn't
Look, I don't
be
think-
illegal to have a different opinion or whatever. But the way it kind of works, because what you're saying, and this is where it gets difficult, is everything's fine if it doesn't have an outcome,
some sort of
or
cost. Yes,
yeah,
on
some sort of.
What's been the outcome and the cost of Nick Fuentes saying this for 10 years? We all remember when Nick Fuentes' rhetoric caused the BLM riots of 2020, billions of damage, loss of life, burning down police precincts.
Cost,
yeah,
right, some sort of cost or some sort of it's not, and also if it's not popular. So like the thing like with flat earth doesn't really have a cost to it.
Flat
People
Earth!
believe that. It's like, okay,
yeah, exactly.
people aren't
Yes.
going around
Running on fumes!
doing terrorism because of flat earth. People aren't going around attacking other people because of flat earth. But if all of a sudden, over the next couple of years, somehow flat earth theory becomes like this terrorist organization,
All of a sudden, if, hypothetically, meanwhile, the Moos and the left do have this level of power and influence in society, that's why we're more focused on that instead of someone saying Hitler is cool, which just puts a scarlet letter on you if you fall for that.
Yeah, then all of a sudden we have to
Puts an armband on you is what it does, so we know who you are.
step in and we say,
Right.
look, no more flat Earth debate. It's
Well,
settled.
I mean, I would still say in America that's I don't think you can, because it's just the First Amendment. You can say, listen, you have to draw a line of, you can say this crazy shit, you can believe this crazy shit, but you can't have actions. You can't act upon it. You can't do illegal things based on it. And the difficulty with that is, yes, then it makes it easier for people like Fuentes and all these other people to create a bunch of hate movement and hate groups. But I think that's the cost.
Hate movement and hate groups is not the left. It's 3,000 years of the left. And we have 3,000 years of Sitch right now. When you start accusing other people of hate, you are my political enemy. Let me say it again for you, Sitch. When you start mind reading people and you start castigating them over them being hateful, it's witch hunting. How do you prove you're not hateful? You are my political enemy. Now, individually, I can talk to you. I can converse with my political enemies, no problem. Very easy to understand. Did I just have a Tucker Carlson crack in my voice? Colin Christensen, $5. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Ditto, with things like Emmett Till and other strife from the past, far too easy for them to lie about. Yes, also the Tulsa race riots. Quote-unquote Black Wall Street, which was in a neighborhood, was rebuilt within 5 years, and its ultimate demise came from integration, where it was no longer black only, and they went to white neighborhoods for their commerce, and why wouldn't they? Caesar the Great, $5. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. You must let millions into your country and give infinite money to the Moos. Why? Because me mum! Because me mum, mate! Sorry if the light's casting a weird shadow, that's me mum's nose on the shade, bruv! Excuse me. A little citrus in my throat.
Of free speech that we just have to deal with from a legal perspective. Now, from the private company's perspective, like YouTube and X and all these other things, I think they're well 100% in the right to say, okay, we don't believe that people who are just promoting racism, anti-Semitism, and all this other shit should be on our private platforms.
Well, look, this is why they have the laws that they have in Germany, because in Germany, it actually happened.
Right.
They presented this idea that Jews were behind everything.
Real quick, this problem was attempted to be rectified in several countries by excluding the Moos from gaining power. Once they got rid of those laws, Moos gained access to power and usury and self-interest. And then the event happened. That's not my opinion. That's history. Leaf man with a fry and a pan, and fry with a frying pan. Thank you, $5. Very much appreciated. Every time someone denies the holly, a starving African child is taken to tour in Israel and forced to read Finkelstein books. Fellas, we cover actual history on this stream, okay? That is undeniably true.
And it took hold, and a lot of people believed it, and pretty soon they were gassing them.
Right.
And they said, look, we can't present this as an idea for people to accept. It's not true, and we're just going to cut it off. We're going to say, look, this is not something you can believe.
How do you seriously say pretty soon they were gassing him? That's my line. Hey, Adam, you took my line.
This is a costly belief that we don't want in our society, right?
Yeah.
But Nick is coming along and saying, look, there are no costly beliefs. Well, maybe that's the debate to have. Are there costly beliefs? I believe there are.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And look, if you did say, if a large number of people were believing that all Christians were pedophiles, he would understand, okay, that's a costly belief. We should probably do something about it.
Nick Fuentes and white men and Christians understand defamation in the West like no other group. Adam, you're too old to be a player and you're too young to be a coach. You're irrelevant.
About that.
Right.
That affects me.
Yeah. Well,
So
so
none of that conversation happens here, which is why I'm looking at a lot of people are saying Piers did a great job. And I was like, really?
Imagine hanging out in an area of the internet where anyone thought Piers did a good job, let alone multiple people. Where the fuck are you hanging out on the internet? In your liberal centrist area where there's anyone that thought Piers did a good job. Bless his heart.
I mean, Piers came off as like a clueless liberal to me.
Wow.
Which I do think a lot of people
Up for
on the left
debate.
say, oh man, he killed it. But I'm worried about this thing called preference falsification, where a lot of people really believe this stuff. They're just saying that they don't believe it because they know it's taboo, right?
What's annoying about Adam over the years is he loves his pop psych terms. Something that Jonathan Haidt said or Jordan Peterson. And like Western psychology, I've never really supported. I've never really supported it, but I invoke it because Western psychology is analyzing itself, right? I don't think it's objectively true, but I think it's culturally true because they created the problems that they are identifying. But I don't have like a boner for pop psych shit like Adam does. And since he read something, see, I'm smart. I don't read. He reads. Adam reads. Sitch reads. And I'm smarter than them. Don't read. It'll make you dumb.
But as soon as there's some sort of tipping point, you realize, oh my God, 50% of the country is actually Nazis.
Right. Well, again, it's difficult because we don't know. It'd be interesting if there's some kind of way this could be looked at, but I don't know, like the number of people that went into this conversation who hadn't made up their mind about Fuentes or any of this stuff.
I'm sorry. On the last stream, they brought up how I made a video on Actual Justice Warrior. And this is why I made a video on how AJW seems woke. AJW in their chat for $5 said Piers missed that Nick said at least 6 million, but it could be 100 times that amount. Piers thought he won, but Nick did a denialism trick. He believes in denialism. Political enemy. Fine with him. Go subscribe to him. Political enemy, sure. But he does good work for the right. Overall, net benefit for the right, sure. But there's the line in the sand. That's 1 degree off course. I don't know what to tell you.
I have no clue which way that they would fall on it. I would think that most people, if they hadn't already had an opinion about him one way or the other, or they didn't really know about him, and they actually sat down and watched this whole thing, that they'd come out with a negative opinion of him. I don't think they come away with a positive opinion of him.
Right.
So.
Well, look, like I said in the very beginning, I'm very humble about these things. I'm not sure. I think if we went out and did man on the street interviews, it'd be impossible to get anyone to say. That's the whole point of preference falsification.
It's so boring to listen to people pontificate about what other people might think.
People are lying about their true preferences.
Yeah, it will be interesting because Pierce asked him this question if he's interested in like running for political office, and he says no.
Yeah, that's total bullshit.
Right, which is obvious.
Total bullshit.
I don't believe that either. But so I think there's a real possibility, a really strong possibility that he'll, as soon as he hits 35, he'll immediately start running for president.
He's imagining Nick Fuentes thinking about running for president when Nick Fuentes has said, "Fuck no, I don't want to be in politics. I can't run in politics because of my history online. I'm gonna fucking cash in and stream." But Sitch has to wax poetic about what he thinks Nick Fuentes thinks. Oh my God, it's pathetic.
Or something like that. And he would have to run as a third party person. And it would be interesting to see, okay, how much support is he actually getting? And how much he's actually pulling away from the Republican Party. Because then you can really have some
look,
questions
it would be
over.
interesting if he didn't get much support. I'm not sure how interesting it would be if he gets a lot of support. Hey,
Well, if he does, we'll just listen. It's better if he gets a lot of support. At least we'll be out in the open and we can actually deal with the question openly, as opposed to sort of this.
At least it'll be out in the open. Sitch, you fucking invalid. This was in front of over 100,000 live. And then there was over 3 million views on it in like a day. When does it what would make it in public? You idiot.
Guessing game of what's actually going on. I don't know if you saw, there was this report that came out on X that was laying out about how much of Nick Fuentes' support on X is all just bots.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, and people doing the swarms and all that.
Let's say Nick Fuentes uses bots on X. Let me rhetorically show you how I tackle this. Always just concede. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, who's Nick Fuentes' political opposition? The Moos that I've shown you have had NGOs from the fucking mid-1800s in the country that have the power to send people on the street to protest, to antagonize. That's who he's going against. A syndicate, a generational syndicate. And I'm supposed to give a shit that he uses bots on X? Suck my front. Pardon my French.
Other stuff. You're talking about how Nick, for some reason, more than any account on all of X, can post something and in 30 seconds will have more views and likes than any other account on all of X by like magnitudes of like 1,000, which is obviously not physically possible. And so it's very obvious too, anyone that ever, even for us, anyone that ever, interacts with Fuentes or anything.
The enlightened centrist will go, well, just because the left does it doesn't mean that you should also do it. So you just lose with your dignity and principles. Mind you, right now, it's like he bots things like, yeah, he should. Yeah, he should. Yeah, he's had the exact opposite of help and backing in society. Who are his funders? Yeah, he should bot. Good. That's how I handle that. Go ahead and argue against what I'm saying. The only way you can do it is by this moral purity of, well, technically our principles.
Thing online, you put his name in your title, you do anything, and there's going to be a bunch of people who, never really commented on your stuff before all of a sudden flooding in, right? So they obviously have entire operations, Discord groups or whatever. This is all these people do all day is do
operations.
This stuff to try to just boost them.
I love how Sitch can acknowledge the Discord operations, but not the World Jewish Congress talking about fucking world Jewry. You fucking idiot. It is impossible to not invoke Sitch's moodyism when he does this. Because we all think he's smart enough. We all know he's a midwit, but that's crossing the line, Sitch.
The numbers.
Yeah, for all the reasons that I stated before. They don't have a girlfriend, a house, no aspirations to ever. Well, no hope of ever.
Yeah, you disagree because you're a loser. Remember when the left would go, you're not getting pussy, so that's why you're mad. Huh. They're using the exact same argument. But guys, they're so much different than the left, all right? They're against mass migration, they're capitalists, and they're against trans and the kids. Really hard positions to be on board with. But they tackle the tough issues and sound exactly like the left.
Ever having a house or a girlfriend or, they're just completely disembodied from society.
They're trying to create the idea, the false idea, that, oh, look, there's all these people that really support what he's saying. So you can support it too, right? It's trying to do this whole appeal to the majority thing. You can be part of the movement. Look at all these people that are part of the movement.
Now, the main difference is that when the Moos and the left do that, and I've covered this in videos, the top will have a prescription in society. The above. The below, the activists, will do the dirty work. And then the ones at the above will just be like, oh, well, it shouldn't be violent, but they do all the damage. There's a whole syndicate behind them doing it, creating this false sense of mass support. God forbid Nick Fuentes does that by him fucking self. I'm supposed to care about that.
Which, if there really
Well,
were all those
and-
people, you wouldn't have to bot the whole situation.
They're trying to force the preference falsification. They believe that there are a lot of people who, once they realize they have the numbers, and this is how preference falsification works, as soon as people realize they have the numbers,
Right.
there's no reason to keep it a secret any longer.
Right. Right.
Have an employer, they can make a view about whether you are the right kind of person they want for their employment, as they would make a decision about anything else you do in life. So I actually believe that speech should never be criminalized, is my personal view. I understand why in places like Germany, they have strong laws about it because they want to move on from what they believe was the most shameful moment in their history. I understand that. Do I want that in my country? No. Am I appalled by what has been going on with free speech in United Kingdom in the last...
Yeah, I don't even think he has the right analysis on why they have the speech prohibitions in Germany. I don't even think he has the right analysis on that.
Well, yeah, because once you...
Do you see how they feel smart by implying Piers is dumb? Right? What I like to do is show you receipts and then call them dumb, right? But poisoning the well to their audience by being like, ha, can you believe he thinks that?
Once you go too far, that's when people start throwing out the laws and stuff.
Yeah.
And
totally.
fortunately, it's never happened in America, so we haven't had to grapple with that.
Oh, the shut up for another. Fortunately, it hasn't happened in the United States. But maybe I shudder to consider that there might be another. I can't keep my shit together. It's the same thing over and over again.
And hopefully we never will have to grapple with that question.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh.
2 or 3 years? Absolutely. It is ridiculous that people have been frog marched to prison cells for stuff they put on social media, right? So, yeah, I do. I think what is more interesting to me...
Our young white girls, right, walking down the street, 13 years old, getting scooped up by what we call South Asian people that are in a gang, sure, rotting them because they're white girl infidels. I don't agree with that. See, he doesn't agree with it. When do you get mad? Like, consider this. Consider this for a moment. Lend me your ear. We all experienced 2020, and there were global protests for a black man that happened to die in front of a police officer in Minnesota, and there was protests in 60 countries, okay? Because of NGOs that are, if not run by, influenced by a certain demographic. How does that happen across the world? Jewelry. How does that happen across the world? Huh. Anyway, all right, let's keep watching.
About our exchange is I was not expecting you to go the opposite way. I was not expecting you to be so emphatic that at least 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust. And there'll be people watching this who I think will be very surprised by that, because you have built a reputation for being, if not a Holocaust denier, then somebody constantly questioning in a downward way the number of Jews who were murdered. That doesn't appear to be what your position is now.
No, and here's what I would like to see for my entire career. When I started my show, it started with a good faith inquiry where I was questioning a lot of these narratives. And I said, what is the answer on the other side? But what I found is that the answer was criminalized. So when you would talk about anything regarding Jews, Israel, the Holocaust, you could be in favor of the official narrative on those things. If you went again.
Once again, they're allowed to lie about their own country and people in positions of power of their country. But somehow, if you want to know who's in power, it's who you're not allowed to criticize. And it's laws in 19 countries. This is the criticism. You can engage with it whenever you want. Fellas, redemption. It's not going to happen, but it's there.
You were banned, censored, and in some countries jailed. And so I actually haven't made up my mind on that because that's not really a matter of interest to me. And there's a...
So, see, we've already got to the whole... We started with him saying he thinks that 6 million Jews, 7 million Jews died in the Holocaust. And now he's evolved in the course of 5 minutes to, well, I haven't made up my mind on that. In 5 minutes.
Yeah, he said could have, and then said he hasn't made up his mind, Sitch, but he has a hate boner for Groiper Man bad.
Right,
always
but
just
he left himself wiggle room because it could be 20 billion.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I haven't made
Right.
my mind because it
That's
could be
the
more,
joke.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
But
no.
it's so dishonest. It's hyper dishonest.
A lot of
I would rather Nick Fuentes. I would rather live in the reality that Nick Fuentes is dishonest than Sitch being this fucking stupid. If Sitch is this fucking stupid, that's way more difficult to handle as a reality than Nick Fuentes being dishonest in front of Piers Morgan.
of analysis and scholarship on both sides of the issue. And I've read both sides of the issue. And honestly, unfortunately, it's hard to judge
Where's
because
the
there has
Hitler
never
cool,
been,
right?
there's never been a debate
Did you hear that? I missed that the whole time. I missed that
What?
for some reason. You can hear Pierce talking to his producer.
Oh,
listen,
I didn't see it.
listen.
on both sides of the issue. And I've read both sides of the issue. And honestly, unfortunately, it's hard to judge
Where's the
because there has
Hitler
never
cool,
been.
Oh, yeah. Where's the
He's like,
clip?
where's the Hitler's?
You see, Piers isn't being dishonest at all. He's just, as Nick Fuentes is speaking and responding, looking for the Hitler is cool quote. As Nick is, oh, that's funny. Ha ha ha. He's, in this situation, Piers is the political friend of Sitch because he's attacking Groiper Man bad.
It's a cool clip. I agree with what you're saying with a lot of like the way in which the argumentation I get is not going to be persuasive to Groipers, but I do think it's important to be like, okay, here's Nick saying he's doing this bullshit, which we both agree is just nonsense about the Holocaust and all this other stuff. Oh, I'm not saying, I don't believe blah, blah, blah. And then you have to show, well, okay, well, here's a clip of you saying that Hitler is awesome. So like these are obviously contradictory opinions, and you do need to show these things back to back to back, because whenever you have this conversation with
Sitch. If someone said to Sitch, why did the chicken cross the road? And someone said, to get to the other side. Sitch would go, well, what do you mean by that? Why does the chicken have to get to the other side? When I see chickens, they're typically in a coop, and they wouldn't cross the road. And I mean, you're actually anthropomorphizing a chicken right now, because chickens don't consciously think to themselves to cross a road for any particular reason, to which any responsible person would respond to Sitch and say, it's a joke, you you F-slur. Oh, that was close. It's a joke, you big lug nut.
with Nick, it's the same thing as like trying to have this conversation with Hassan. They're so dishonest that all they do is lie and deceive and try to weasel out of every position that they've ever had. If it's not good, it's not a good look in the forum that they're having. They don't. None of them actually will stand by anything.
I mean, he definitely stands by the Hitler stuff.
Well, that's true.
Wow, we're an hour and a half in, and Adam has arrived to the enlightened liberal centrist position of he really believes in the Hitler stuff. They are retarding their audience. This is tough.
That's true, actually. Yeah, well, that's what's even weird to think too. Is like once I guess I should amend what I'm saying. He'll stand by it once. Well, it's weird because he's like in this position where, like, how far can he go without looking too cucked, right? I think that's the calculation. How far can he go without being cucked?
Yeah, that's why I think the psychological reactants are strong in this one. Like, he needs to
Right.
be studied because it's just
Yes.
off the charts. The Groipers obviously are not going to be convinced by any of this stuff. Okay.
Right.
The problem is Steven Crowder's audience, right? A bunch of normie conservatives. I think they could be moved further right, more
They could,
radicalized.
100%.
There is no such thing as moving further right. The far right is the center. The far right is normal.
Yeah.
But
So, and
this
Piers is taking this from the left wing perspective. So he's basically destroying Nick Fuentes from a left wing perspective. I don't think he did any damage with the moderate right wing audience.
How do you destroy Nick from a right wing perspective?
Look?
How do you destroy Nick from a right-wing perspective? Hey, how do you destroy the Moose from a right-wing perspective? Getting a little orangey, a little lemony.
Bring up the idea of dangerous ideas in society, right? Don't
That's
try to.
not going to play at all with the right. I don't think.
Oh well, it's better than what he's done. I don't think this was a good showing for for the thing that I am worried about. I'm worried about normie conservatives moving further right.
Yeah, no.
Do they ever say what's wrong with moving further right?
Which I think is definitely a real concern.
Yes.
The problem is so much of these conversations, they're not, it doesn't really matter what you say. It matters who says it. And this is why you do need someone like Steven Crowder to come out.
That's a lethal level of projection coming from a moo. It doesn't matter what's said, it matters who says it. Yeah, that's one of the chief criticisms of your community, Sitch, that you said you're a part of.
And say, fuck this shit. Being on the right doesn't mean that you're pro racism and pro sexism. We spent the last 10 years. You say we, Crowder, we people on the right spent the last years fighting back against the woke left, saying we're not racist and we're not sexist, and it's a lie for you to call us that. So now we can't just adopt the position and say, no, actually we're everything that you said. You were 100% right. We should have never actually been fighting back against the woke for the last 10 years. Every time we fought back against the woke for the last 10 years, we were actually lying, because in reality, we were everything they always said we were, right? That's really what the position is that I think Crowder needs to push back on in the conversation.
Crowder's not going to do it.
Well, that's the problem, is that he didn't, for whatever reason, either because he's a coward or because he agrees with all that shit.
This is how, defenseless liberals are to their own ideology, the marketplace of ideas, free speech. Is there anything more conventionally liberal than someone has to do it and we're not going to do it? But as far as our political advocacy goes, is that we think someone should do it.
And then he doubles down, because not only does he not push back on that in his conversation, then he attacks, really for no reason, he attacks Piers Morgan publicly for this conversation.
Really for no reason? So in Sitch's mind, in his moo brain mind, there was no reason to attack Piers Morgan publicly after this conversation. That's incredible.
And he attacks Piers Morgan and then lies about Nick's position, saying
what was he
against
attack?
identity politics.
Oh, okay. So Crowder just framed him as a left-wing nut job.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, look, I think there's a lot of left-wing nut job stuff in here for them to frame him that way, and Piers did a bad job of avoiding those attacks.
What is the purpose of Crowder emphasizing that, if the goal was actually to try to gatekeep Fuentes out of?
This is a gaps argument, since Sitch cannot conceive of a possible alternate position, then it must be what his emotions tell him.
The right.
That is not Crowder's goal, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's the problem.
Look, Crowder is not worried about the thing that I'm worried about.
Right.
Crowder doesn't give a fuck if the right wing is far right or moderate right, as long as Crowder is high up in that hierarchy. He doesn't give a fuck.
Right.
He'd gladly march behind Nick Fuentes if that's where the winds blow.
Right.
And
yeah, this is what he would do. Sour grapes ass motherfuckers. You know what? I bet he would do this. Wow. Amazing commentary.
That's how a lot of the coalitions go, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is why they don't want to call him out. And look, Nick Fuentes wants the coalition to go further right. He wants it to go into the racist stuff. And look, there's a lot of people I don't.
Are they live right now? I'm gonna drop Romans in their video. Oh, in their video right now, not their stream. Okay.
I don't think have a problem with that, which is just, I mean, that's the terrifying part.
Well,
we could be down that path. Yeah.
And again, it's a lot of people on the internet, right? They just make the woke left's point for the last 10 years, when we see all this pushback against Candace, and you only see 10% of that against Fuentes. Why are they not just yeah, we'll totally march behind Candace and all this other stuff?
Who's pushing back on Candace? Oh,
Crowder and Tim Pool are pushing back super hard on Candace.
Right, because they think
Bordering is pushing back super hard on Candace. A lot of people are.
They think it's going to hurt them electorally.
Yeah, I mean, this is fucking the Fuentes shit.
Well, Candace Owens is saying some crazy shit, and they are gatekeeping and pushing back on some of the shit that she's saying. Understandably so. Mexican Man and Cheese, $5. Thank you so much. It bugs me that they seem to think killing Charlie Kirk wouldn't have changed conservatives. They took it out of Mr. Milquetoast and are shocked people are getting more extreme. Orrin McIntyre said that. Matt Walsh said that. Many on the right have said that. And even after that, to still, complain about words, racism, white people, Hitler cool. The real dog whistle is people that act like they care about those things. That's the dog whistle, whether or not they know it. That's their armband.
It's going to hurt them electorally if this becomes popular. If this ever leaves the internet, it's going to become very that was the entire debate. The actual part of the conversation that Crowder pushed back on Fuentes on, but like the last 50% of it was all about him criticizing Fuentes for attacking Trump and hurting Trump. And he was attacking Trump with far greater actual on the ground way than Candace Owens was. In that conversation with Crowder, Fuentes said not only were they intentionally sending people, okay, even Candace hasn't done this to my knowledge, intentionally sending people to go harass conservatives specifically, okay, to go harass conservatives for not being white nationalist enough, not being racist enough. And then he wanted to start, when he thought the election, Fuentes said this, when they thought the election 2024 was going to be close, they had a plan where they were going to go to Michigan and they were going to go knock on doors and try to get people to not vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah, Crowder wants to keep the coalition together. Okay, he doesn't care where it falls ideologically.
That is factually incorrect. What Nick Fuentes said was it was a conditional vote, that signing a pledge that we will only vote for Donald Trump if he does these things. It did not say, and this is, I'm just repeating the words of Nick Fuentes. Wuffy, baby, $10. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I got timed out on Twitter again. Yeah, same. We're both in the gulag together, fella.
He'll keep the coalition together if they're hardcore racists or if they are not hardcore racist. He's just interested in the coalition. That's
obviously. But my
there.
point in bringing that up is I'm just saying for the argument against Candace is this is damaging because she's attacking Transpoint USA.
Because she is tearing the coalition apart.
Right.
The
She's
same way
tearing
that
the
Nick
coalition
Fuentes
apart.
is tearing the coalition
Exactly.
apart.
And he's doing it.
But it's not
You're tearing me apart, coalition.
not about
planning
racism.
to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
But Nick, it is about racism. Nick is like, I will tear the coalition apart unless it's organized against these different minority groups.
Right.
How do you explain all of the minority groups that support him? I feel like I'm talking to the left right now. Oh, well, the liberal can't say they have internalized oppression. They can say that they're being duped, which means they're dumb. It inevitably goes back to the bigotry of low expectations as to what about the minorities? Like, they're still playing the racial CRT dialectical game, which Sitch should know better. He cut his teeth on making anti-woke SJW videos a few years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Hitler was a pedophile and kind of a pagan. It's like, well, he was also really fucking cool. So, time to grow up. We're not children anymore. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right, boys? Am I right? Let's go. He was also really fucking cool.
Uh-huh.
Do you regret saying that?
Saying a fact? No, that's absolutely true.
You think Hitler was very fucking cool?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
This is where I think he's totally lost. Now, this should have been the beginning of the conversation, but this is where I think he loses any of the more normie people. Is when he's like, yes, Hitler is cool.
Yeah, no.
You have to be willing to lose some normie people to drive other normie people forward. Sitch, in politics, we look at things as a net negative and a net positive. He's on a generational run. He ain't talking to everybody, but he's talking to a lot of people.
Yeah. This is like the only thing. This is the only win for Piers.
One of them.
And I'm tired of pretending he's not, to be honest.
This is the problem, you see. It's a bit like when you just say, I'm a racist. You're a racist, you think Hitler's cool, but you're not.
I'm
This is the
sorry.
problem, you see. It's a bit like when you just... One of them.
And I'm tired of pretending.
I'm sorry. Is Adam smiling here? Did he think that was funny?
Only thing. This is the only win for Piers.
One of them.
And I'm tired of pretending he's not,
Well,
to be honest.
This is the problem, you see. It's a bit like when you just say, I'm a racist.
No, just regular
You're a
stoner
racist,
face,
you
my
think
bad.
Hitler's cool, but you're not anti-Semitic. If you're a Jewish
Yeah.
person watching this, what are they thinking? I'll tell you what they're thinking, because I've got a friend of mine called Danny Finkelstein.
Oh boy.
Who when he heard I was interviewing you, he's a Times journalist in the
Sitch, tame your heart on.
UK, very eminent journalist here and author, who wrote a book about his own family's experiences at the hands of Hitler and Stalin, because you also told Tucker Carlson that you admire Stalin. But let's just take what Danny said here.
See, here's how much the material conditions matter, because this is effective.
You see, here's how much the material conditions matter, said the anti-woke, anti-communist, enlightened centrist liberal. All right, Adam, go ahead.
If people's material conditions are met, they have sympathy for this guy. It's hard not to, obviously. But if you are in terrible, dire straits economically, this maneuver is not going to work at all.
You have to convince people that it matters.
Yeah.
That's the entire.
You have to convince people that it matters. And in order to do that, billions of dollars, thousands of NGOs, museums across the world.
The entire point of religion is to convince people of these things, to convince people of moral questions. And here's a moral question, not to support the guy who's committing genocide. Is a moral question to say you should not blame a bunch of random people because of their group affiliation for all the problems in your life. That's the moral question. And this is, I think, the problem, is that a lot of the internet right is very nihilistic, or they're just very cynical. They're very degenerate. There isn't really a strong moral.
Don't you love how the atheist liberal Sitch is calling other people degenerate and nihilistic and they don't believe in things when he has a tenuous grasp on the truth himself? Is he telling on himself? Fellas, is Sitch doing a little tattletale on himself there? I don't know. I don't want to mind read him. Wouldn't that be so unfair if I started mind reading Sitch? That wouldn't be ethical at all. That's not what he's doing to other people.
Like, no one wants
of their material conditions.
Right, but
look, if you're doing great, you got a girlfriend, you got a good job, you're not a nihilist.
Let's look at this is the problem, because what you're saying is true, but people are too afraid to stake a moral position and try to pull their audience in the direction, even though I think that's what people want. Look at Jordan Peterson. I think this is part of Jordan Peterson's appeal, was he was making, especially in the beginning, he was making very strong moral claims.
Sweet mother of pearl, Sitch. Can we get to the dumb old J? Thank you. Thank you. My word. Winding down, fellas. Probably last half hour. Probably going to end with their super chats. But oh my God, what a slog.
And my dad, when they were 10 years old, so perhaps he might like to reconsider his joke.
Me mum!
See, that's the reality of your jokes, although I haven't ascertained yet whether you are joking when you say that Hitler was very fucking cool.
That's the reality of Nick Fuentes' jokes. That's the reality of his jokes. What's the reality of the Mooish NGOs and advocacy for everyone except for whites? That's not a reality. That's a conspiracy theory, even though they admit it. But when they admit it, it's a different context. When you say what they say, it's a conspiracy theory. The duality of it all. Do we see where the gender stuff came from? Where anything could be anything? Do we see where postmodernism came from? Where anything could be anything? Calm down, Artie. You got a half hour in you, okay?
Are you joking, or do you actually think he was very fucking cool? The most genocidal monster of the last 150 years.
Yeah, the thing is, my generation, we're just done with the pearl clutching.
You might be, but then your generation hasn't gone through what Danny Finkelstein's family went through. So maybe the pearl clutching has a way to go for families whose family members were murdered.
Yeah, we got.
Maybe the pearl clutching has a way to go. It's 80 years ago, and in 500 years, is it going to be the same story?
Not all that. Me mom. Like I don't even know who this person is. Why is this person talking to me? This old British guy is saying me mom got killed by Hitler. And
he doesn't find it funny when.
You want to know what's funny? The way that Adam is listening to this right now is exactly how I'm listening to this right now. Sunglasses and everything.
You say Hitler's very fucking cool.
I don't care. I don't care.
I know you don't care.
Look at that vibe.
Pearl clutching.
Wow. Let's get on that Adam vibe. My word.
Needs to be addressed too, because it's not remotely true either. We just went through and we talked about it a lot here. We just went through this huge conversation for months about how horrible it was that there were so many people that were either cheering on or...
Okay, I really need you to take this in. This sent me through the fucking roof. Sitch is about to equivocate the Holly with Charlie Kirk being assassinated with the analogy of pearl clutching. Do you think you're mad now? Give me a few minutes.
All that me mom, like we're, I don't even know who this person is. Why is this person talking to me? This old British guy is saying me mom got killed by Hitler, and
He
me
doesn't
dad
find
got
it
killed
funny
by...
when you say Hitler's very fucking
I don't
cool.
care.
He finds
I
it
don't
I know you
care.
I don't care.
The thing about the pearl clutching needs to be addressed too, because it's not remotely true either. We just went through, and we talked about it a lot here. We just went through this huge conversation for months about how horrible it was that there were so many people that were either cheering on or making fun of the death of Charlie Kirk. And if you're going to say, well, we don't care about pearl clutching, well, that's a lie. Because what was that? What was...
That's right. When you had an issue morally with Charlie Kirk being assassinated, let's keep it YouTube safe. I'm not mad. You're mad. Charlie Kirk being assassinated in front of his wife, kids, and the world, and the left was dancing on his grave, that's an example of the right pearl clutching. So you can't talk about people talking about the Holly pearl clutching from 80 years ago because of the Charlie Kirk assassination. Now, if you didn't think I was being serious when I considered Sitch a political enemy, hopefully that will enlighten you as to why I feel that way. Caesar the Grape, $2, thank you. Wifey was in Nick's DMs after this, so I want to show you guys so bad, but I need my boy Fist to do it.
Was all the people on the right who were saying, how dare you, clutching their pearls? How dare you make fun of this person's death? How dare you advocate for this person's death? If the left just says, well, that's just pearl clutching, and I guess, you said that we're not doing pearl clutching anymore, so everything's on the table at this point, right? All political...
Right. Since you're not allowing people to pearl clutch. Now, this isn't a leftist, by the way. This is a centrist. This is a liberal. Since you disagree with people pearl clutching about the Holly, now you can't pearl clutch about anything, which, by the way, means having an emotional reaction to an assassination of one of the best men on the right, one of the most moral men on the right, one of the most influential men on the right, that, not like Nick Fuentes, actually really lived his values and was grassroots about his movement. And did he have some stuff going on with the Moose? Absolutely. I don't find it appropriate to speculate about that. I'm fine if other people speculate about that. But there is some truth, some wild tales being told. I'm not in a race to find out what happened, but this is soulless moo behavior from Sitch. I don't know how else to fucking categorize it.
Violence, all horrible things in the world are all on the table right now because we don't care about, quote, pearl clutching at this moment in time.
That's fine. Yeah. You don't have to care, but he does care.
Does that guy care about America? Does that guy care about me and my country and my family? No.
He cares what you, a prominent conservative in America, has to say about Adolf Hitler. And what do you mean by Hitler is very fucking cool? Because I think he's very fucking a monster.
Okay. And that's a clip. I think he's very fucking a monster. Do you hear yourself?
Yeah,
I mean, can we all grow up?
I do.
Can we all grow up?
He murdered 12
that is just
million
childish.
people. He murdered 12 million people. What is very fucking cool about that? Tell me.
The edits, it's just cool. The uniforms, the parades.
Oh boy.
It's cool as a guy. You look at World War II.
Now, Sitch has to act like this is not funny. He's going to try and find logical consistencies in what fucking Nick Fuentes is saying. Fellas, help me.
And it's fascinating and it's interesting and it's compelling. and it's cool. And, you know, we're just tired of saying these kinds of things. We want to talk like real people and give our honest opinions. And then we literally get an old Jewish guy.
Are you saying we're not real people?
Want to talk like real people and give our honest opinions, and then we literally get an old Jewish guy from England who's going to say, "Oh, that's not very funny, mate. Me mom," and it's like, shut up. Like, you know, no one is in favor of genocide, so let's just get that out of the way. We're not in favor of a Holocaust or genocide.
Do you think if half your family had been, you think if half your family had been wiped out by very fucking cool Hitler, you'd still think he was very fucking cool, or would you think that actually?
Yeah, he's very fucking cool, Hitler. Yeah, would I be sad? Sure. But he fucking did it in a very fucking cool way by your own admission. Are you listening to yourself? Do you know what very fucking cool means, Piers? You've said it so many times in a row.
He was a despicable monster who murdered 12 million people, who targeted people because they were disabled.
You're despicable.
Or Jewish, or Romani Gypsy, or whatever it may be. And that he systematically destroyed people, incinerated them in gas chambers. Do you think that you would find it very fucking cool if your family had been through that? Or do you think you would find it very fucking disgusting? And perhaps moderate the number.
Linguistically, you're saying he did it in a very fucking cool way. Would it feel good? No. Would you have to respect it? Well, by definition, it was very fucking cool. Not cool. Very fucking cool. So, it's how words work, Piers.
Number of times you laugh about it, or want to joke about it, or want to abuse someone like Danny Finkelstein, who's written incredibly powerful books about what happened to his extended family at the hands of the Nazis and your other hero, Stalin. See, my point to you...
I actually, as a human being, feel really bad for old Danny Finkelstein, because in every other decade, that was a powerful thing, and Nick Fuentes rapes the wind from the man's sails.
You, Nick Fuentes, is that in parts of this interview, you try to come across as moderate, but every now and again, the mask slips. And it's slipped again here with what you say about Hitler. There's nothing very fucking cool about Hitler. We know that from history now. We know what he did. You've already conceded that he murdered at least 6 million Jews. So when you say he's very fucking cool, Jewish people watch this and go, this guy's disgusting. Why would he say this about someone who perpetrated such an evil? And what's the real...
I have a question for you guys right now, okay? All right, everyone close your eyes. Close your eyes. Don't open them yet. Don't open them yet. Close your eyes, okay? Okay, you can open them. Nick Fuentes listening to Piers Morgan cry about the Holly and trying to demoralize him, or 5th grade school picture, right? Which one is it? I don't know myself. That's a tough one.
That's disgusting. Why would he say this about someone...
Can you tell when the weed hits?
...who perpetrated such an evil? And what's the real answer? Why do you? Is it just for clicks? Is it for money? Is it just for fun? For shits and giggles? What is it? What motivates you to say something like Hitler was very fucking cool?
It's for this. It's for all of this. And the lack of self-awareness is amazing. You're a boomer. You're a 60-year-old boomer. And we spent maybe 3 minutes on you saying, he's a really fucking monster. He incinerated people. And I'm sitting here saying it's not that serious. It's not that deep. And
not that serious. Not that serious.
Do you want to say more about he's a monster?
You're not a kid yourself anymore. You're not a teenager.
I know.
Right? You're nearly 30, to be clear.
Yeah,
okay? You're a fully formed adult who has a brain, right? And at some stage...
It's easy, I guess it's easy to convince people of what they want to believe. And so, yes.
You don't have to.
Sitch said to himself in front of 1,000 people live.
To convince them. What are you talking about?
Because you get into this whole thing, like, it's just so obvious. And it's like, okay, I love all the Jews. Hitler was amazing. Oh, well, Hitler was a horrible monster. Why do you say all this stuff?
Now, this is rhetorically an important thing to note. Sitch is speaking like a female, like a woman. He's just like, oh my God. He's like, blah, blah, blah. And like, fucking, that's not how a man speaks. You're not speaking as a man. And thus, you should not be treated like a man.
It's easy, I guess it's easy to convince people of what they want to believe. And so, yes.
You don't have to convince them. What are you talking about?
Because you get into this whole thing, like, it's just so obvious. And it's like, okay, I love all the Jews. Hitler was amazing. Oh, well, Hitler was a horrible monster. Why do you say all this stuff? Well, it's just, you're a boomer. You don't understand it. I'm just doing it for this, right? Because I've always seen people be like, oh, listen, Nick doesn't actually think Hitler was cool. He's just it's all
Estrogenic
performance
hysteria.
based. He's the Andy Kaufman of our generation. He's all just doing it to elicit these reactions.
Fellas, if you've ever had 5-hour arguments with girlfriends you live with, like I have, this is exactly how they sound when they are trying to repeat to you the very clear and easy thing that you've been saying to them in plain English for the past 5 hours.
From people. And it's like, how fucking stupid are you? How stupid do you have to be on a level to convince yourself that is true? If the person who spends inordinate amounts of time talking about this, by the way, it's not in who it doesn't even make like that argument doesn't even make sense, because if that was the argument, like Andy Kaufman's like the good comparison. And Andy Kaufman was trying to do some sort of thing where he's trying to get everyone to hate him, like when he was wrestling.
I also love how he invokes Andy Kaufman, a moo, by the way, in the most duplicitous comedian in history. That's just funny. Fee Hearts, you can think that China is a rival to America without hating Chinese as a people. Thank you. In any other conversation, I would think you're being condescending to me and treating me like a child, but I understand why you're saying that. It is a very obvious point that most people intuitively understand.
Women or saying some crazy shit. He would go out to the most public space possible and he would say the thing that would get everyone triggered. Nick does the exact opposite. He'll be in his safe space. He'll say the incendiary thing.
He'll be in his safe space. The platform that he built, Cozy TV. He did that as a safe space, right? He never allows dissenting opinions to come in his chats at all, right? And so, just like the left did, when they called what they had a safe space, and then we started making fun of them for having a safe space, they tried to own it and then say that the right wing has a safe space, which is exactly what Sitch is doing.
Then he'll go to the public space. He'll go on the podcast circuit, and he'll say, oh, actually, I'm a super moderate. And then only once you have someone like Piers confront him with what he actually said, then suddenly it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I do have to stand by the fact.
Sitch is living in a reality where he thinks Piers Morgan offered a meaningful confrontation and not just cow feed.
That, Hitler was cool.
Yeah. We're in a situation where that is actually going to be tested, whether this argument is appealing to people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hope it's not, but I don't know.
We'll see.
Is taking you off these
Is this
rabbit
an
holes.
interview or is this a lecture? Can I respond to what you're saying?
I want you to explain why you think it's fine to say how fucking cool Hitler is and to dismiss the very powerful 90 seconds from a British journalist who lost a lot of family members to the Nazis in such a callous, dismissive manner.
Lost him? Huh. Hopefully he finds him.
I don't think it's powerful. I think we've been hearing that our entire lives. Okay, the Schindler's List. Let's just be honest. The propaganda is over the top. We have been brought in America.
What about
and
the Schindler's
everywhere.
List?
Hey,
Tell me about the Schindler's List. Well, tell me about the Schindler's List.
I'll tell you about it. We have been browbeaten as a people, as Americans, as Westerners, for our entire lives. And do you know what this has done? It has taken away any sense of pride, any sense of love for our own civilization. We have been made the villain in our own story. We have been made because, but let's just be clear. It doesn't begin and end with Hitler is a monster. This has been the political narrative, which is why we have thrown open the borders. This is a political narrative, which is why we can't be a conservative society as a whole anymore, why we can't be proud of Europeans, why we can't be proud of being Christian, because they've told us if you're too white and too proud and too Christian, it's going to lead to a Holocaust. And so my generation, our entire lives.
Shit,
Honestly,
Nick
it's true.
Fuentes.
And that's why.
The irony about what Fuentes is saying here is that he's saying that, oh, well, the left basically, they demonize Hitler because, it.
Not. First the moos, and then the leftists, the socialists, the anti-capitalists. Continue.
Hack this concept of patriotism and, Europe being white.
To destabilize the country for themselves to gain power. That's the communists. For the moos to destabilize whatever country they're in because they know what will happen if they don't have political power, which has already happened, and it prevented nada.
America being white, because if they didn't do that, they were afraid it would lead to Hitler 2.0, another Holocaust, and blah, 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 all this stuff, right?
Sitch is constantly invoking. When I say another, it's Hitler 2.0 is constantly what Sitch is invoking. So, yes, so far, I would say you're steel manning his argument as best as you can.
And then Nick does the very thing that those people were worried about by saying Hitler was based.
That is going to make another happen. Hold on. Hold on. Hassan Piker can go to China, advocate for communism, and still be the darling of mainstream media. No hit pieces on him, only puff pieces. Nick Fuentes saying Hitler-based. This is the joke. This is the title of this. This is the thumbnail. I didn't even realize this. That's what you're doing. Double Uno reverse, Sitch. You think because he said Hitler-based and then you're projecting that onto other people. You're neurotic. It's genetic.
By saying most black people should be put in jail. By saying Jewish people need to be removed from positions of power. He's playing into the very stereotype that he's criticizing.
Moos need to be removed from positions of power for their own safety. Is that even a contentious opinion? Worked well before.
He's doing he's making the fear true. He's validating every single thing the far left has said about the right for the last 10 years. And that's the great irony. And that's the great stupidity of this entire
stupid.
movement
He's smart.
and why it's ultimately doomed to fail. And just weaken the right as a whole.
Doomed to fail. The level of cope. Nick Fuentes. This guy. Doomed to fail. Always telling the future. It reminds me of James Lindsay. Oh, you're going to be sorry. You'll rue the day. This is going to fail. Can you believe that liberals gave everything up so easily? They got no fight. It was feminized. It was originally masculine. I want to at least try out a more masculine liberalism before I swear it off. I'm not done with it.
People like me. That's why I'm popular, because this is bullshit.
Shit. Honestly,
yeah, it's a crock. We don't want to hear anymore about me mom and me dad. That's a crock of shit.
No, listen. What you just said is a crock of shit, and you
it's
know
true.
it.
It's called the open society.
The last moral consensus rested
It's called the open society. Doesn't let him expound. Terrified of what he's going to say.
On defeating the Nazis in World War II and making Hitler the villain of.
Nick Fuentes says open society, and then in Piers' earpiece, they're in the they're in the UK. Quick, call him a name. Hurry, act indignant.
The world, really, society as a whole, definitely in the West. He's tearing at that fabric.
Well, it's interesting because I would think the last great moral consensus in America was defeating the USSR, but that for some reason, maybe it's just because like all the sympathetic commies in Hollywood.
Let me hash this out real quick. Quizzitch Chatterack. Real liberalism hasn't been tried. Already for the 1 millionth time. Well, I don't run my channel like a liberal, do I? I'm technically the monarch of my YouTube channel, aren't I? Aren't I technically a monarch? Tell me I'm not. Tell me how I'm not a monarch of my YouTube channel.
But it didn't really cement itself into a hatred of communism the way the hatred of the Nazis cemented itself into hatred of fascism and white nationalism.
Right.
Your gut, you know it is. You weaponize this stuff.
You know.
You weaponize this stuff for money, but you know when you say something like what you just said.
I'm banned from banking. I'm banned from banking and credit cards. You know who you're talking to? I do it for money.
And by the way,
how much money you make? Your company's worth $100 million. Your company's worth $100 million. I was banned from Bank of America.
And you shouldn't
I'm banned
have been.
for processing credit cards.
And you shouldn't have been.
But I am. So don't tell me I'm doing it for money.
Well, ask me my opinion about that. I'll tell you shouldn't have been. Right? I don't agree with that. What happened to
Then
you?
don't say I'm doing it for money, because you know that full well, and you say it's a
How much
grift.
money- how much
if I
money
wanted
are
to be
you-
a grifter, I'd be like you.
You really can't invoke he's doing it for money when he got debanked.
And I would go and say,
how much money are you making?
I'm making a lot of money now.
Yeah.
Now that I'm the #1 live streamer in America, because people agree with me more than they agree with you. We're tired of hearing about slavery and the Holocaust and Jim Crow. We're done here.
Oh my God, we are done here. All right. Let's take a little Pecorino Romano at their super chats. Is it really 212? Is that what I have down? And that's why I have it down? Well, I think it is. Oh, they're going to lead us into the super chats. That's what it was. Okay.
The moment to at least try to either rob, to some extent, Nick, from that power, that energy from him, or to at least show that he understands the problem.
Now, how flat is this 3-hour live stream with them where no matter how much I fast forward it, it's the same. It's NPR. It's NPCR.
Until somebody does that, we are fucking dead in the water.
Right. But that wasn't really his outlook in the conversation.
No,
His outlook in the
yeah.
conversation was just, I want to expose this guy for being a racist.
Well,
sexist piece of
congratulations.
shit.
The coastal elites.
This is why I love the community, dude. Theodore McCarthy, you're not a monarch because YouTube gave you the channel and can take it away. That means you hold your channel in fief and are simply the lord of your channel. I knew I was missing something. I'm still going to make it work, though.
Completely agree with you. Okay. When you did it, Piers. Good job.
Well, we might have to come to this fight where it's really going to be this. The right is going to have to deal with this. I don't. Here's the problem.
They're
No, no,
they're not going to deal with it.
No, here's the problem. There's only two ways that this, I think, is going to be dealt with. Either A, the right is going to have to deal with it, and maybe they won't ever deal with it unless it's just become so electorally toxic.
Caesar the Grape, are we the peasants of Artie's fiefdom? Technically, no. Because I never require money, right? I never demand, I never ask, really? Have I ever? I mean, I never even told people to like, so this is, oh my God, I'm a liberal monarch. Freedom of association, and it's your own choice. There was no force, there was no coercion. This is growing faster than I ever thought it would. I'm trying to keep up with it. Am I a liberal monarch? Am I doing it, fellas? I think so. I never even told you to join. I never told you to like, comment, subscribe. I'm doing it. I'm synthesizing. Liberal monarch. Oh no.
Toxic, that they feel like they have to deal with
If
it.
it becomes electorally toxic, it may be maybe an electoral bonanza, Sitch.
Well, I was going to say, if it is electoral, that's what I'm saying. If it's electorally toxic, they will deal with it, and maybe they'll have to come to that. If it's not electorally toxic, then it's just, unfortunately, then we will have the Tim Pool Civil War. I mean, we'll just have actual violence, and it will have to be solved through violence.
Caesar the Grape, you have to understand, one of the funniest things I can do is make a joke into a reality. Why, some would say that's the basis of an inside joke if I didn't know any better.
So I don't think there's any other solution if it goes this trajectory you're talking about.
Yeah.
Christos, $5. Thank you so much. Tax for the jarl. I don't know. It's a jar. Is a jarl a thing? Is that a typo? Help me.
God.
That'll be fun.
I just think. Oh man.
I don't think it's, to be clear, I don't think it's going to come to that. I still think that these ideas are. This is why I bring up the botting thing. If these ideas were just so just so fucking siren call popular to half the country, that you could get half the country on board with this shit, he wouldn't have to bot. He would not have to bot constantly. He would not have to have Discord servers full of people that do all this brigading bullshit.
Right.
The reason he has to do that stuff is because it's not popular. It's very popular. It's the same thing with like Candace Owens. Like Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes can be popular in these very small ponds, but not in the larger population as a whole.
Right. Yeah.
So, and now if he does, that's when I'll be more pessimistic about this and more worried. Is that
Oh my God, guys, I'm so sorry. I accidentally stopped listening to them talking, and I was way more entertained by what you guys are saying. Oh my God. What a slog. That was not professional. Jackie Nimble, $2. Thank you. My liege. That's hilarious. Because I'm so authoritative, right? I just started being entertained by you guys instead of what I'm supposed to watch. Let's get to the
in
super
online
chats.
space, not realizing who they are trying to enter into bed with. I think that was true at first. We're definitely beyond that point. There is a willful ignorance. Like if Crowder or some of these other people try to pretend like it's just a willful ignorance at this point. I don't even.
2 hours and 15 minutes in, and he's still kvetching about fucking Crowder, dude.
I think it can be a rail. Or this lower middle class, working class young men in America.
To them. They just don't see it, so it's lying to themselves.
The Rooster for $5 says, add on the harsh truth pills at the most lower middle class, working class young men in America. The world have Nick Fuentes' view on multiple subjects. I don't think that's remotely true at all. I don't think that's remotely true at all. That's the.
How do you know
that's
that,
the
though?
that's because then why again? If this is the useful fiction, this is the useful fiction that he has to push. We're the secret majority. Everyone in the country believes what we believe. Okay, if that's true, why does he have to do all the bots? Why does he have to have brigades?
First of all,
It would all
online,
be natural.
online is a completely different situation. You could have people who are.
I just tried to listen to them again, and I actually can't. So first of all, Fragile Thinking, $10. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Keep up the good work, my liege. Also, apparently, breaking news for the incels in chat. Todd Howard did just sell Skyrim again, which is tragic. All right, I'm going to try and listen this time.
Who are not online, who are just working and have these views, who are not invested in the Nick.
Long live Artie the Emperor. Don't do this to yourselves, fellas. Don't make me method act.
This is what.
Don't
this
do
is
it.
What the Nick Fuentes crowd always points
You're
to.
gonna like what you get. You're not ready for it though.
How they feel about like racism or.
I just told you I was going to listen to it, and I was literally talking over I can't do it. I can't watch it. I just gotta hang out with the chat for a few minutes before I cap this off. I can't do it. I actually just tried listening to it, and I said I was gonna listen to it, and I actually can't do it. So, Adam and Sitch, you had a good run, okay? Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. You guys had a good run, okay? Stop viewing these things as like spooky and scary and there's going to be another. There's truth to what's being said. It's said in a bombastic way because this truth is not being listened to and this truth is being marginalized. Now, this does result in a retaliation, and my function in this space is to go, they want you mad, they want you to get frustrated, they want you to act a fool and retaliate, and I'm giving us a landing pad to go, well, hold on. What they're saying is true, but let's chill, okay? This goes on for a long time, and honestly, when you first realize something, you have a natural human bias and inclination to all of a sudden think that this is happening, this is new. This is not new. This is not new. This has been going on for generations. Once you realize that, a wave of calm alleviates your anxiety. And then it turns into comedy as a form of advocacy, because it has to be talked about, but it's boring. It's the same thing over and over again. So you got to be funny about it, because you can't ignore it, but you got to focus on it. Death takes $2. Thank you so much. For thy coffers, my lord. For thy coffers be load. Did I really start something by accident? Fosimo, $10. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Leave them a comment with this final statement. Adam reads all of the comments. I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't tell you guys what to do. Freedom of association. I'm a liberal, okay? I do manage to somehow radicalize people by letting them make up their own minds, by giving receipts. It's the true liberal position I have. All I'm doing is telling you why I think what I'm saying is compelling. And boy, oh boy, is it compelling when I have video evidence, articles, in context to what we're watching as well, just in a shallow way. I understand the frustration, but it left my body a few months ago. Since jumping on the right wing, I think you guys may be enacting servitude to a liberal monarch, right? Is there any historical precedent to a freedom of association monarch? Right? Has that happened? We haven't tried that. Make fun of me for saying liberalism hasn't been tried correctly yet. Have we tried fusing it with something? Like with a monarchy? Now, it's still a monarchy. I run it like a liberal. It's just that I make all the decisions, but I'm like a fair-minded liberal about it, right? Cypher's Basement, $2, thank you. Right is opposite of left and wrong for a reason, right? Right. Gotta say right after that. How do I so if I'm a monarch, so there's a hierarchy, it's my channel. Who is Fist? Fist is my right-hand man. Who's the right-hand man of the monarch? Right? So I'm the monarch. It's been bestowed upon me by the YouTube gods. The power has been bestowed upon me, the power of the algorithm. And I need advisors. I'm a young king. So I don't know what the, he's not my jester. There's got to be a more regal title. No, I act like way more of a court jester. No. There's got to be like a... I'm sounding like Aiden Paladin and her friends. That would be silly. They would hate this conversation, I swear. I'd make a mockery of the monarchy by accident. I am this dumb. The monarchy would be less authoritarian than our current democracies. True. Why don't I just put you on screen at this point? What is this? Does this signal? This signals that we're done. There we go. So, like, how does it work? I know there's some monarchy dudes in the chat. So I rule everything, okay? I only rule it with an iron fist to the people that I clearly define as enemy, right? So you don't really have any surprises. In my speeches on stream, I will clearly define who is enemy, and I'm still amicable with them, but these people are a threat to our way of life in the monarchy. Now, within the monarchy, it's not very collectivist, so to speak. There's a wealth of different kinds of people, all unifying for the same purpose. It sounds good, right? Am I spitting? Chad, am I spitting? See, my brain, this is why I can't be a part of a collective. My brain will take a little bit of something and then start making it into something. It's the whitest part about me, my inventiveness, my creativity, my penchant for new ideas, right? That's where I say I'm liberal. But there's constraints. But I don't have this like giant dick swinging ego about it. I'm just genuinely curious. A liberal monarchy. That's kind of what the channel is. I'm a fief, a lord, so to speak. Sure. That's a fair counterpoint. We need Fist here. It is 75 in the morning wherever Fist is right now, okay? There's nothing he can do about it. If it's 25 in the morning for him, I would not want to subject you guys to my 25 in the morning brain. I don't ever want to be on stream at 3 a.m. You do. Sure, you do. But you don't have to be me after. You get to be you after. The mask is already slipping right now. But yeah, I'm a liberal monarch lord. YouTube is the supreme, or is YouTube the god that bestowed me the power? Is that how it works in this situation? And I know that's heretical to call YouTube God. I know. I'm an atheist. I'm just doing analogies over here. YouTube bestowed the power upon me. I have talked to Aristocratic Utensil in DMs, but how you feel about a content creator and how they feel about me are two starkly different concepts, okay? Other content creators do not like me as much as you like me, and that's fine. Because you don't have to co-sign on things that I say. You don't have to worry about your reputation. Another reason why I'm liberal and atheist. I would never want to tarnish a person's reputation or ever have them regret speaking with me to tarnish their name, okay? So I never take offense to it. YouTube is God, and you're YouTube's representative on Earth. No, I'm not representing the values of YouTube. I'm kind of like a moo. I'm subverting... Yeah. Oh, there we go. I've been watching the moos for long enough. I've been living around them. I am the moo. Right, because it's subversive. It's under a subversive pretense. So I'm acting like I am praying to YouTube the God, but I'm subversively doing this. Now, there is no lineage of subversion with Christians, really. They're too honest, and I realize that. And so I'm mooing the moos, but I'm not doing it for a mooish purpose. As a liberal monarch, my power is bestowed upon me by the God that is YouTube. However, I do not subscribe to that God. However, I will act like I do for the terms of service in order to gain power, to then give power back to the people. See, is there like a thing for this? Has this happened yet? This is why I don't read. You know, I just kind of make it up. But like, right? Is what I said inaccurate? Okay, this is starting to hurt my brain. Go to bed, Artie. You're punchy again. Bro is buffed with reflect. This is my tired brain. This is what I try and shield you guys from. We're going full James Lindsay here. Oh no, I'm losing the audience. Oh no. Oh no, I'm losing the crowd. So that's how he gets away with it. I mean, yeah, I'm being subversive to the subversive people. That was kind of my goal. All right, fellas. Piss in a heater. You know, a heater every hour or two. Not bad, right? Don't think that's rude. Wow. Okay, well, I give you high energy for a few hours. It's not like I go to sleep right after. But, fellas, thanks for hanging out. I'm going to try and work on this liberal monarch gimmick. It's the best of both worlds. When you're making something up, you're just trying to make it the best for yourself, right? I mean, full transparency. Also, at some point, I don't know how soon, but I'm going to be at 10,000 subscribers. What am I supposed to do when I hit 10,000 subscribers? It could be by the end of the year. Should I attempt a 10-hour, 10,000 sub celebratory bonanza stream? Should I attempt it? Is that too much of a risk, too much of a liability for my channel? Everything is going so well. Why the fuck would I attempt a 10-hour stream? That's so much liability. All I had to do is just do what I'm doing. But you're forgetting that your monarch is also a liberal and a loose cannon. So I might do that. Have a good night, fellas. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to entertain you. Have a good night.